My name is Derek. My wife Sheila and I have been married for 4 years. She is very pretty. She's about 5'6" with long blonde hair that falls to her middle back. Her green eyes caught my attention because they are so full of life. She thinks her small chest isn't enough, but to me it is just right. As a caring husband, I often check on her health. She has lively features that she enjoys when I show affection. Her long legs lead to a firm, round shape. Sheila is very kind and would help anyone in need. If I were to find one small complaint, it would be that she doesn't dress up in fancy stockings often enough or try being a bit more bold when we go out, just for fun between us. Our romantic life has slowed to 2 or 3 times a week. We still spend weekends having fun, sometimes pretending to be different people and playing games. During the week, things are simpler with hugs, kisses, and being close. I guess some might see me as from a different world. I come from a working-class family. My dad works on the railway and my mom works at the local hospital. They live in a council house in a neighborhood built in the 1960s. The area is okay, but sometimes can be rough. I learned early that you have to stand up for yourself. I am not a perfect man by looks. At 5 or 10 inches and 175 pounds, I am average. No big beer belly, though. Women don't throw themselves at me. I think what they like most is my personality and sense of humor. Sheila and I met at university. Education was very important to my parents because they had to leave school early to help their families. I was the first in my family to go to college. I did not make a good first impression on her father, and I am sure he dislikes me even more now. I never backed down when he challenged me about his daughter. He is a very rich man who owns many businesses. Even though he didn't want to, he offered me a job working for him. But I said no. Another company had helped me during university and offered me work, so I took it. Her father was unhappy about my choice. When I asked him to marry Sheila, I thought he might faint. He made it clear that he did not think I was good enough for her. It took Sheila and her mother, Samantha, several days to convince him to give his reluctant permission. Maybe I did not make things easier by saying that we could just go to the registrar's office and get married with 2 witnesses in 5 weeks. On the night I was called to his house, everything there was his, and his family seemed less important. I found Sheila very nervous, and her mother even more so. I soon found out why. He had his lawyers prepare a prenuptial agreement and enjoyed telling me that if I was unfaithful, I wouldn't get anything, not even my own clothes. I almost couldn't believe what I was hearing. I said, "You'll take this home and read it. If it looks okay, you'll sign it. If there are parts that need changing, you'll point them out." What did he expect? I'm an engineer. We check things carefully, twice over. I read the agreement and didn't like it. I asked my friend Rachel, who is a lawyer, to look at it. She didn't like it either. It looked normal for a prenuptial except for 2 things. 1, it only protected him and not me. 2, it said I had to give up everything I brought into the marriage. Usually, what you bring in stays yours, along with any gifts or inheritance. When I told Rachel about the dirty laundry comment, she laughed. "If you sign this, you could lose everything. And with him being so pushy, he would make sure you do." Rachel and I worked on a new version. This one made sure that if either of us was unfaithful, it would say so. It also said we each keep what we brought into the marriage. Things like clothes and jewelry were left out to keep it simple. When I showed this to him, he got angry and started using bad language. I really wished he would stop. But I stayed calm. I had practiced my reply for days. I said, "If we are signing any agreement, it has to be fair to both of us. Not just me." Sheila was shocked. She hadn't known her dad wanted to take so much from me. After more than a week, we finally finished the agreement. He wouldn't remove the part about the property, but it covered both of us now. I was certain neither Sheila nor I would be unfaithful. I won't bore you with the wedding details, but he was very upset I kept it small without all his business friends. I might have called some of them rude names right to his face. As you can guess, I stay away from that difficult man as much as I can. Sheila and I are happy. We have even talked about starting a family. Sheila works for her father, which annoys me, but she gets good pay. I have learned many skills that are in demand and have been promoted several times. Every time I get a raise, her dad gives her more, so she is the main earner. To him, I am a failure and always will be. My boss, Malcolm, is a great guy with a good sense of humor. We get along really well and are close friends. He is a little older than me. But you wouldn't want to upset him. He stands strong when needed and speaks his mind. The company is doing very well, better than ever. He asked if I wanted a letter with details about a new job and a salary of $50,000. He said I could let Sheila accidentally see it. I had the letter the week before we had to visit Sheila's parents' house for her mom's 50th birthday party. No, my parents were never invited. If he could, he wouldn't have invited them to the wedding either. At the party, he announced Sheila's promotion with a big raise, and he gave me a sneer. I just said congratulations to Sheila. Malcolm and I laughed about it on Monday. With bonuses, I was already making much more money. I put the bonuses into a company fund that Sheila couldn't touch if things went wrong. Malcolm had helped me with some patent ideas that many companies wanted to license. About 3 months ago, a big problem came up between Sheila and me. I blame her father. Sheila's mom and dad liked to be seen in fancy places. There was a charity event for something, but they were on a cruise. Her dad told Sheila to go as a representative of his company. I was to go too, even though we both didn't want to. If she went alone, rumors could start, and that might hurt business. The night of the event came, and I have to say Sheila looked very nice. She wore a deep green dress that matched her eyes. It showed more than usual and stopped just above her knees. I was surprised how well it fit her. I could even make out the shape of her clothes underneath. I think my face must have shown everything I was thinking. I didn't know if I should be happy or worried. Before I could say anything, she smiled and said softly, "I know you're not liking this night already. I'm trying to make it better for you. Wait until we get home." Even though the night before was busy for us, I felt close to her. We spent a lot of time together, and I wanted to show her how much I cared. I tried to kiss her, but she didn't want me to mess up her makeup. The event was just as boring as I expected. I drank soft drinks so I wouldn't say anything rude by accident. I really didn't want to deal with all the gossip about people I didn't know and didn't want to know. Sheila and I had several dances, which I enjoyed. I didn't notice until a slow dance that she wasn't wearing a bra. It was the first time I saw that. She smiled as she watched my reaction. I wanted to go home soon, maybe spend some quiet time together before leaving, but she had to move around and talk to people for business. I walked back to our table and relaxed. I saw her looking at me a few times. I smiled, but I couldn't figure out what she was thinking. Was she annoyed I was watching her? Or worried? Or maybe not interested? Later that evening, I needed to go to the bathroom. I overheard 2 men loudly talking about which married woman Iverson might choose to take home. From what they said, their main excitement was imagining how he would embarrass the husband in front of everyone. They laughed about it a lot. They even said they would pick Sheila. They were happy because they thought the husband would try to stop Iverson so Iverson's 2 security men would handle it. They laughed again. I didn't like what I heard at all. After they left, I came out of the bathroom stall and went to the cloakroom to get my phone. I deal with problems often, but this one needed help. I called some friends to come with me. 15 minutes later, they arrived with some things to help me, a couple of knuckle guards and an alarm. If things got bad, I would press the alarm and they would come and help me. When I went back to the dance hall, Sheila was talking to a middle-aged man. He had his hand on her waist and was staring at her in a way that made me uncomfortable. I had seen them dancing earlier, and he seemed too close and too friendly. I guess this might be Iverson. I walked up quietly from behind and took his hand away. I gave his fingers a sharp snap and held his wrist tightly. I said, "This might be fine in your world, but it's not okay with me. If I see your hands near my wife again, there will be serious trouble. Do you understand?" He almost fell, and a crowd started to form. They were suddenly very interested. I saw 2 big men coming toward me. I pressed my alarm button. I warned them to stop or I would hurt him before dealing with them. They smiled, but I laughed when my friends came in to back me up. The crowd quickly moved away, leaving just Iverson, his 2 men, and my 4 friends. I tightened my grip on his wrist, and he showed he was in pain. I put some pressure on his elbow. He yelled out quietly from the pain. I leaned close and whispered, "If they come closer, your arm will break." He looked at me and understood I meant it. He knew he couldn't win, so finally, he told his men to leave. When they saw my friends were ready, they understood they were lucky. Iverson needed a lesson he would not forget. I used his arm to bring him down to the floor and moved him around with one hand, making sure everyone could see. I wanted them all to know that if he tried to come close to my wife again, he would pay the price. I said I would make sure everyone found out how badly he had been defeated. By the time I finished, he was overwhelmed. He liked to embarrass husbands. I showed him how it feels when the roles are reversed. I thought I had acted calmly and fairly. I really wanted to hit him, but I held back. Sheila was not happy. She was angry with me. I took her home. The car ride was very quiet. Too quiet. As soon as the car door was open, she exploded. "Why did you do that? He wasn't doing anything wrong!" I made her more upset by staying calm. "Sheila, he chose you to hurt me. He wanted to make me feel small. That's what he does. He has so much money that the only way he feels better is by ruining other people's relationships. He's not right in the head. Were you dressed for me, or were you dressed to catch his attention? Why?" For a moment, I saw her real feelings show, but then she covered it up quickly. Still, I knew I was right. She yelled, "I was dressed for you!" Then I realized something. "Your father set this up, didn't he? He wanted to embarrass me and make a deal with Iverson. He treats you like a business tool." She was shocked. I don't know if she wondered how I guessed, but her face showed it was true. She denied it, saying, "That's not true. Iverson was just nice to me and said kind things." She shouted that she was not doing anything wrong and that I was wrong about everything. I stayed calm and talked for about 15 minutes, answering all her reasons again and again. I told her, "Sheila, if you had gone with him, it would mean divorce. The worst mistake you could make," she shouted back, her eyes full of anger and pain. "It wouldn't be worse than marrying you." I lost control for a moment. The anger in her voice was cruel. My calm broke, and she must have seen how much it hurt me. It felt like she had cut me deeply with her words. I couldn't say anything. Her face stayed cold. She really meant it. I was her worst mistake. It was too late to stay in a hotel, so I walked away. I went to our bedroom, packed a few things for the next day, and moved to the guest room. The next day, neither of us could talk. I thought about everything that had happened and what I had learned. I wasn't happy. I wanted to get back at him. I went for my usual run. While running, I called an old friend, William. He grew up with me and works for a Sunday paper that often writes about famous people's mistakes, especially the rich. I told him about Iverson and his tricks. He said he would check and call me back. 20 minutes later, he called. He had a coworker with him. "Derek, we know who Iverson is. We would love to expose him, but our bosses won't pay for anyone to go that far from London. If it was someone in London, we could act easily." His co-worker, Emma, added, "Derek, we know of 4 husbands who have been hurt by him like this. There might be more. What we really need are statements from the husbands, with as many details as they can remember. Their answers would probably show us what else we needed." We didn't have enough information to move forward right now. Most of it was just stories people had heard. I thought for a moment. What do you need? If I can help catch him, I will. How hard could it be? I look for answers every day. It turned out to be much harder than I thought. William said, "I can email you information about the 4 men we know and the questions you should ask. He'll also explain to them that you're helping us and that they might expect 2 or 3 visits or calls." I agreed and gave him my work email. We made sure nothing was done on anything Sheila could check. She never wanted to talk about that night or how she felt about it. So I moved all my things to the guest room. We had never ignored each other like this for a full day. I was very angry. On Monday, I talked with Rachel. She asked me to have lunch, and we did. We talked about my marriage and how it seemed to be falling apart. I didn't see any hope for us. Rachel gave me a few very helpful ideas. especially about catching Iverson. At work, Malcolm told me to take as much time as I needed to deal with things. I told him some of Rachel's ideas. He said to leave it with him. 3 days later, I had a bunch of electronic devices. I secretly placed listening devices in my house, my car, and Sheila's car and purse. The purse piece was very expensive. She liked it, but the lining was damaged. I knew a man who could fix it, but Sheila didn't trust anyone. I hid a small device under the lining so she would never know. The devices never caught anything helpful. Over 3 weeks, I met the 4 men Derek and Emma had mentioned. I told them what had happened and why I thought he might try again. Those meetings were very hard. They looked so empty, as if all their strength was gone. I had to meet with them 4 times because new questions came up after each talk. A good reporter would have known better questions to ask. What stayed with me was not knowing why any of this happened. None of the men understood why their wives allowed it, even though I asked many times. They blamed themselves and wondered what they had done wrong. Even worse, Iverson still called, and the wives went to see him. It didn't take long to find Iverson's house. It was just outside the city, far enough to seem quiet but close enough to town for what the ads would say. We looked it up on Google Maps to get an idea. Malcolm and I used a company van to check it out in person. Since an engineering business often has workers climbing trees and poles, no one noticed us watching. We put small wireless cameras around his home. They were hidden so well that you couldn't tell them apart from the street poles. We soon learned that Iverson had a woman at his house at least once a week, sometimes twice, or even 3 times. He never closed his curtains, so we could see what was happening inside. We did not watch everything. For the best look, Iverson's home security code box was placed higher than usual. We could see the code he used. The 2 men stayed in an apartment above the garage. We had video of them. William was happy to get it. He had asked for it and said he would explain why later. The big question was, how did Iverson manage to win over the women who had been in strong marriages before? It took about 9 weeks to gather everything about the men's side. I never went to any Sunday lunch at Sheila's parents' house. We were not close. We rarely talked and only passed notes. I left 1 note asking her to talk that evening. To be honest, I was surprised when she sat down and said she was ready to talk. I spoke softly. Sheila, I don't know how you feel, but I guess you're as unhappy as I am with how things are. I can't live like this. Do you want a divorce so we can both move on? Sheila looked surprised. She said, I thought you were finally going to say sorry for the trouble you caused me. I raised my eyebrows and said, if anyone owes an apology, it's you to me for what you did for your father. I can't be part of any marriage where there are personal problems mixed with business. Maybe that's normal for your dad's friends, but not for me. Either you are my wife only, or you're not my wife at all. I won't fight if you want a divorce. I won't ask for money. We can just split what we have. What do you want? I asked. She looked at me and I stared back, waiting for her answer. She looked down and said, I want one last evening with Iverson. After that, I will be the wife you want me to be. It's just business. I was shocked. I had just asked for exclusivity, and she wanted to spend time with Iverson. I spoke with clear anger. Sheila, you better get that divorce quickly. If we're still married when you do this for your dad, I will use our prenuptial agreement fully. She left the room quickly. I thought about it all. She never denied her dad's role in this. I hated that man. I went for a run and called Malcolm. I didn't want to use my house for anything they could have bugs there. Malcolm agreed things didn't look good. The next day I told Rachel what was happening. I should stay at the house and not ask Sheila to leave. It would look better if we sued Iverson while still married. I wanted Sheila to ask for a divorce so I could take action against Iverson and her dad. If she didn't in a few weeks, I would act and make plans about Iverson. I was going away for a couple of nights for work. Before leaving, I left Sheila a note asking if she had started the divorce papers. I said I would be back around 7 p.m. on Thursday, so she should have anything I needed to sign ready by then. When I came back, Sheila's mom and sister were in the house. Sheila wasn't there. Her mom, Samantha, said, "Derek, Sheila is very worried. She loves you, but you are being very stubborn about this small problem. Can't you put your pride aside and let her handle it? It will help the business. Her father won't ask her again." I was shocked. I'm sure they saw it on my face. I tried to stay calm, but I was about to lose my temper. I knew this wouldn't be a one-time thing like they were saying. I couldn't tell them what I had found out. My voice showed my anger held back. I said, "I work in business. We would never accept something like that. Why should I agree to this just so her father can feel like he's won? What kind of father would use his daughter like that to get what he wants? Why doesn't he just do it himself if it's so important? He hates me, and now I hate him even more. This is about him trying to shame me because I won't give in. Sheila has a choice. She can either go along with Iverson or try to fix our marriage. I don't know if that can happen or if I can ever trust her again. I sure won't trust her father. He will want this again, you know it, and I know it. He'll want to put me down as much and as often as he can." He insisted on the strict prenuptial agreement. "I'll stick to it exactly. I told her if she doesn't leave me before she agrees to this, there will be trouble. While you are all talking about this, let me give some advice. Don't think Iverson will follow your plans. He'll promise anything but won't sign any papers later. Sheila will lose everything for nothing. Make sure everything is written and signed before she makes any big decision. Otherwise, she'll have nothing to come back to. Maybe her next husband, if there is one, won't mind being with someone treated this way. He might be more accepted by her father, but I doubt many will want that besides those who only want her money." They looked at each other. They expected my answer. I tried to sound a little calmer. "Why do you think this is okay? Why isn't it important? I just don't understand." Her mom looked down. Her sister Allison looked at me. When Allison started to speak, her mom tried to stop her. Finally, Allison said, "Dad doesn't want this, despite what you think. Iverson started it. He wants Sheila more now because you made him look bad. Iverson bought the company's debt and now wants it paid all at once. He knows we can't do that. It wasn't a big amount, just something we could manage. He'll accept regular payments if Sheila agrees. If not, Iverson will make sure the companies fail. Everything we worked for and the workers will lose it all. We've tried to get money to pay, but a lot of people are too scared of Iverson to help. I agree with you. He is cruel and tough. His men like to beat up husbands, even when the men did not fight back. I believed many of the women he took away from their husbands had been through this too." "Sheila doesn't want to lose you," someone said. "She knows how much this is hurting both of you. But she can't see all the people she worked with for years losing their jobs and struggling. She couldn't tell you before because if Iverson found out, he would make things worse. If he learns you know, he will act. There is another event in 3 weeks," they added. "Iverson wants Sheila to go. He wants either you or her father, but preferably you to be embarrassed there. I and her mother offered to go, but after you and Iverson clashed, he only wants Sheila to attend." When I heard this, I was shocked. Blackmail. It explained a lot that had happened, but I needed more details. I couldn't tell them about the plan I had against Iverson, but now it was clear he had to be stopped. I answered slowly, "I have a lot to think about, but I will not go." They left, looking as troubled as I felt. I gathered all the recordings and went to Malcolm's place. On the way, I called Rachel. She said she would meet me there. I also called William, who was very angry and almost lost his calm. Later, he called back with a new idea. Rachel, Malcolm, and I watched the surveillance videos we had. With the new information, we looked at the tapes carefully. The women did not look happy. Iverson treated them badly. He forced them into unpleasant acts. He seemed to enjoy making them uncomfortable and sad. We never saw him in normal situations with them. He was clearly a cruel person. We all wondered why the women kept coming back. In the end, it became clear. He kept recordings of them in a safe in his room. Another way to control them. Rachel said she would talk to a friend at the local legal office to see if charges could be brought against Iverson. She thought it would take a lot of courage to fight him this way. Malcolm and I started looking over our plans again when William called. "Derek, this is very important," he said. "It explains a lot. I spoke with our legal team. If you can talk to some of the wives and get them to confirm that he blackmailed them, we will be ready to act the Sunday after that event. If we can get a photo of him with one of his recent victims, it will be big news. We'll protect the woman's privacy, but not his. We will be ready if you get that photo." I answered, "I would like to do that and send him a clear message, but his 2 men would stop me. I don't want some of our friends involved if I can avoid it." William laughed. "Don't worry about those troublemakers. I told someone they beat up badly about them. Now he and his friends are looking for them. They want to pay them back, and in a big way. He'll arrange the time and place. Those troublemakers won't be able to stop what you have planned. He'll explain more later, but don't stop them from getting their payback. Just know it's fair." William sounded sure of this, like whatever those people did was very bad. The next 3 weeks passed slowly. I talked to the 4 wives, and they confirmed Allison's story. They had been threatened for a long time and couldn't tell their husbands. Doing so would ruin their companies. Iverson made that very clear each time. Sheila and I shared the house, but not our lives. She knew how I felt. When we talked, it was about anything except the big problem we both avoided. On Friday night at the benefit, I watched her as she left. She looked very sad. If she had dressed for me like that, we might never have left the house. When her father came to pick her up, she left a letter for me. I opened it with time to read. It said, "My dear Derek, before I met you, I didn't know what true love was. I had been in a few relationships, but none of them felt like what we have. I felt alive every time we touched or kissed. When we made love for the first time, it felt like the real first time for me. Every part of me was there. You were so kind, gentle, and caring. I reached feelings I didn't think were possible. When we married, I couldn't think of anyone else I wanted to spend my life with. Every day, my love for you has grown. When we talked about having a family, I was so happy. Our dreams were the same. I imagined you as a perfect father and someday a grandfather. On the night of the benefit, I was shocked by how you reacted to the way I dressed. I saw the struggle on your face. I wasn't sure if you were thinking of me or someone else. I couldn't tell you the truth then. I realized I should have dressed like that for you more often before. But now, you'll never get that chance again. That makes me even sadder because you deserved me trying to make you smile and feel loved as much as I could. I knew what Iverson wanted. He told my dad clearly that if I didn't do what he said, he would demand we pay back the debt. My dad has tried to stop me, even though you might not believe it. We've argued for weeks over this. I grew up visiting the office and workshop. I know many of the workers and their families. I can't let them lose their jobs, homes, or lives. My biggest regret is hurting you. I see it in your eyes every time I look at you. I have wanted to be with you, to share special moments so I can remember us together. I know after tonight, I will have lost you completely. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. How we ended things is the biggest mistake of my life. I love you with all my heart. I will always be open to having you back in my life. I'm very sorry our story had to end this way. All my love, Sheila. P.S. I loved how you handled Iverson. If it had been a normal party, my hero would have been in big trouble for his boldness when we got home or in the car. Maybe both. I got upset because of what might happen, not because of what you did. There were tears on the letter. It just made what we were about to do feel even more important. The letter trembled in my hands. 6 in the morning, and I hadn't slept. Couldn't sleep. Sheila's tears had dried on the paper, leaving small, wrinkled spots where her pain had fallen. I'd read it 20 times, maybe 30. Each word cut deeper than the last. I love you with all my heart. I will always be open to having you back in my life. Lies? Truth? Did it matter anymore? The house felt wrong without her. Even when we'd been strangers these past 3 months, at least she'd been here. Her presence, however cold, had filled the spaces. Now there was nothing. Just me and the ghost of what we'd been. I rubbed my eyes. They burned from exhaustion and something else I wouldn't name. The letter caught the morning light filtering through the kitchen window. That's when I saw it. A faint shimmer where her tears hadn't touched. Different texture. Different absorption. My engineering mind kicked in. Why would parts of the paper react differently to light? I held it up to the window. Nothing. Then I remembered university, 3rd year. Sheila had been obsessed with invisible ink after reading some spy novel. We'd played with it for weeks, leaving secret messages for each other. Lemon juice. Heat reveals it. My hands shook as I held the letter over the stove's flame. Careful, not too close. The paper warmed, and slowly, between the lines of her goodbye, new words appeared. Check our special place. Don't trust anyone. Our special place. The hollow tree in Hyde Park where I'd hidden the engagement ring before proposing. But that was 4 years ago. What could know? Not that tree. She meant our home. The false bottom in her jewelry box where she kept her mother's pearls. The one her father didn't know about. I ran upstairs, taking them 2 at a time. Her jewelry box sat on the dresser, abandoned like everything else she'd left behind. I pressed the hidden latch. The bottom popped open. A USB drive, black, unmarked, taped to the underside. My laptop took forever to boot. Every second stretched like an hour. The drive contained 3 audio files dated 2 weeks ago. I clicked the first one. Her father's voice filled the room, cold and calculating. The arrangements are set for Friday night. Iverson responded, that smooth bastard voice I'd learned to hate. And you're certain she'll comply? She has no choice. I've made sure of that. Good. But I want everything documented. Video, audio, everything. My stomach turned. I forced myself to keep listening. Why? Her father asked. The debt will be cleared. That's what you wanted. Iverson laughed. Low, cruel. The debt? That's just the beginning. I need leverage. Leverage for what? Your son-in-law has been quite the thorn in my side. Public humiliation at the charity event? That requires special attention. When I'm done with your daughter, when I have everything recorded, Derek will have 2 choices. Divorce her and disappear, giving up any claim to your family's assets, or watch those videos go public. That wasn't our agreement. Our agreement is whatever I say it is, unless you'd prefer bankruptcy tomorrow? Silence. Then her father's voice, smaller now. She won't survive it. What you're planning, that's not my concern. Though I have found that stronger drugs help with compliance. The new compound from Amsterdam is particularly effective. Complete submission, minimal memory afterward. You're talking about destroying her mind. I'm talking about destroying him. Your daughter is just the weapon. Quite a beautiful weapon, I must admit. I've been looking forward to this for months. The recording ended. I sat there staring at the screen, rage building in my chest like pressure in a boiler. He'd planned this, all of it. And her father, that worthless piece of shit, had agreed to it. The second file was shorter, just Iverson making a call. Yes, it's arranged. Friday night. Make sure the cameras are set up properly. Multiple angles. I want everything captured. The third file made me vomit. Iverson describing in detail what he planned to do, what he'd done to others, how he'd break them down, piece by piece, until they were nothing but shells, how he kept the recordings as insurance, forcing them to return again and again. I called William. He answered on the second ring, despite the early hour. Derek? Christ, you sound like death. I need you at my house. Now. Bring Malcolm. What's happened? Just come. And William? Those friends you mentioned? The ones who were going to handle Iverson's security? Yeah. Make sure they're ready. 20 minutes later, both men sat in my kitchen, listening to the recordings. Malcolm's face went from confusion to disgust to pure rage. William took notes, his journalist instincts overriding his horror. Jesus Christ, Malcolm muttered. Derek, this is enough to bury him. William shook his head. It's enough to arrest him, maybe. But without Sheila's testimony, without proof of what actually happened last night. Then we get proof, I said. Malcolm leaned forward. How? She's probably still with him, after what she's been through. The phone rang. All 3 of us stared at it. Unknown number, I answered. Yes. Breathing. Soft crying. Then Sheila's voice, broken and small. Derek? Where are you? I don't know. A hotel, I think. He brought me here after. Are you alone? Yes. He left an hour ago. Said he'd be back tonight. Derek, I can't do this again. I can't. You won't have to. Tell me what you see outside the window." She described the view. William grabbed his phone, mapping it. The Savoy. Of course, Iverson always did like his luxury. "Listen to me," I said, keeping my voice steady despite the fury burning through me. "Pack whatever you have. We're coming to get you." "No. He has people watching. If they see you, then we'll be careful. Sheila, do you remember the blue roses?" Silence. Then barely a whisper. "You found it." "I found it. And I heard it all. This ends now." "Derek, there's more. He didn't just record last night. He has cameras in the house. In our house. He's been watching us for months." The phone creaked in my grip. Malcolm put a hand on my shoulder, grounding me. "How do you know?" "He showed me. Videos of us, private moments. He said if I didn't continue, if I didn't do whatever he wanted for the next 4 nights, he'd release them. Make it look like I was willing. Destroy both of us." "Where are the cameras?" "I don't know, but Derek. He has help. Someone close to us. Someone who's been feeding him information." I thought of the 4 husbands who'd offered to help. James had seemed off when we'd spoken. Too eager, too interested in our plans. "I know who," I said. "Don't worry about that now. Just be ready. We're ending this tonight." "How?" I looked at Malcolm and William. Both nodded. "The way we should have from the beginning. No more games. No more letting him control the board. Tonight, we take everything from him. Derek, be careful, please. I've lost everything else. I can't lose you too." "You won't. I promise. And Sheila? Those 4 nights he wants, he won't survive the first." I hung up. Malcolm was already on his phone calling his contacts. William typed furiously on his laptop, preparing the story that would destroy Iverson's reputation forever. "We need weapons," Malcolm said. "Real ones. This won't be clean." "I know someone," William offered. "Ex-military, sells to private security. Completely off the books. Get what we need. Money's no object." "Derek," Malcolm said carefully, "are you sure about this? Once we cross this line," he crossed it first, when he touched my wife, when he destroyed those other women, when he thought he could buy and sell people like property. I stood, the decision made. "Call the others. Not James, he's compromised, but the rest. Tell them tonight we end this. And if the police, Rachel will handle the legal side. She's been building a case. With the recordings and whatever we find at his house, it'll be enough." William looked up from his laptop. "I just found something. Iverson transferred £5 million to someone with the initials VK last week. Large sum for someone supposedly collecting a debt." "VK? Working on it. But Derek, there's something else. The Charity Commission has been investigating irregular donations from Iverson's foundation. Seems he's been using it to launder money. Another piece of the puzzle. Another nail for his coffin." "Good. Keep digging. Malcolm, how long until your contacts can move on the security?" "They're ready now. Have been since yesterday. Just waiting for the word. Give it. Tell them to make it messy. I want Iverson to know he's unprotected." Both men stared at me. They'd never seen this side of me. The side that grew up in council estates where violence was currency and survival meant being harder than everyone else. "Derek," Malcolm started. "He has my wife," I said simply. "He's tortured her, drugged her, raped her, and her father sold her to him like cattle. So yes, I'm sure. Tonight we go to war." 7 o'clock. The Grosvenor House ballroom glittered with false smiles and real diamonds. I stood at the entrance, Malcolm beside me, watching the cream of London society pretend to care about whatever cause they were supposedly supporting tonight. Cancer? Orphans? Did it matter? These events were never about charity. They were about power, connections, and showing off wealth like peacocks displaying feathers. "You sure about this?" Malcolm asked, adjusting his bow tie. He looked uncomfortable in the tuxedo. Like me, he was more at home in work clothes than this costume party for the rich. "She'll be here," I said. "Iverson won't miss the chance to parade her around, to show everyone what he's won." Behind us, Tony and Marcus waited by the car. Old friends from the estate where I grew up. The kind of men you called when violence was probable and the law was optional. They'd both done time, both knew the weight of blood on their hands. More importantly, they hated men like Iverson on principle. "There," Malcolm nodded toward the entrance. My heart stopped. Sheila walked in on her father's arm, and I had to grip the pillar beside me to stay standing. The green dress from the first charity event was elegant compared to what she wore now. This red thing, Christ, it was obscene. Cut low enough to show the tops of bruises on her chest, short enough to display finger marks on her thighs. Her father had dressed his daughter like a whore for sale. But it was her face that broke me. Makeup couldn't hide the swelling around her left eye, couldn't cover the split lip and her eyes. Those beautiful green eyes that once held so much life were empty, dead. She moved like a puppet, each step mechanical, learned, forced. Fucking hell, Malcolm breathed. Her father strutted beside her, chest puffed out, greeting people with booming laughter. As they passed a group of bankers, he announced loud enough for half the room to hear, "Wonderful news! Sheila has accepted a position as Director of Special Projects at Iverson Industries, a fantastic opportunity for partnership between our companies." The bankers congratulated her. She smiled, an empty, practiced thing that didn't reach those dead eyes. One of them, an older man with greedy eyes, let his gaze linger on her chest. Her father noticed and smiled wider. He was selling her. Right here in front of everyone, he was advertising his daughter like merchandise. "I'm gonna kill him," I said, and meant it. "Derek, wait." But I was already moving. Through the crowd, past the champagne and canapes, straight toward them. People parted, sensing violence approaching like animals sensing a storm. Allison saw me first. Sheila's sister stood near the bar with their mother, both dressed appropriately, both looking sick. Allison's eyes widened. She shook her head frantically, mouthing, "No!" But I was past stopping. "Derek!" Her father's voice boomed with false joy. "So glad you could make it. Have you heard the wonderful news about Sheila's new position?" I ignored him, focusing on my wife. Sheila. She looked at me, and for a second, just a heartbeat, I saw her in there, my Sheila, trapped behind glass, screaming silently. Then it was gone, replaced by that empty smile. "Hello, Derek." Her voice was flat, rehearsed. "How nice to see you. We need to talk." "I'm afraid that's not possible," her father interjected, stepping between us. "Sheila has commitments this evening. Important people to meet. Get out of my way. Or what?" He leaned closer, voice dropping. "You'll make another scene? Attack me like you did Iverson? Go ahead. Security is already watching you. One wrong move and you'll be arrested. Then who'll save her?" He was right. I could see the security guards positioned around the room, all focused on me. Iverson had planned for this. "Smart boy," her father sneered. "Now run along. Your wife has work to do." I heard Allison whisper urgently to their mother, "We have to do something. She won't survive another night." Samantha's response chilled me. Your father knows what he's doing. Even her mother was complicit. The whole family was sacrificing Sheila. 20 minutes later, I cornered her father in the VIP bathroom. He was washing his hands, humming to himself when I locked the door behind me. "Derek." He didn't even look surprised. "I wondered when you'd try this. You're killing her." He dried his hands slowly, deliberately. "I'm saving my company. 500 employees, Derek. 500 families who depend on me." "Bullshit. This is about your pride, your gambling debts." His composure cracked. "You think I wanted this? You think I enjoy watching my daughter?" He stopped, jaw clenching. "Iverson owns everything. 20 million pounds in debt, Derek. Not 2 million like I told everyone. 20. I leveraged everything. The house, the company, even borrowed against Sheila's trust fund." "So you sold her." "I had no choice." "There's always a choice." I stepped closer. "You could have declared bankruptcy, started over. Instead, you chose to let that monster destroy your daughter." 4 more nights, he said desperately. "That's all. 4 more nights and the debt is cleared. She won't survive 4 more nights. She's stronger than you think. She tried to kill herself this morning." That stopped him. His face went white. "What?" "Pills. Allison found her. Didn't she tell you? Or were you too busy planning tonight's showcase?" He slumped against the sink. For a moment, he looked old, broken. Then his spine straightened, and the businessman returned. "It doesn't matter. The contracts are signed. If she doesn't fulfill her obligations, Iverson takes everything anyway. At least this way the employees keep their jobs. You're a coward. And you're a fool. You think you can fight him? He owns judges, police commissioners, politicians. You're nothing to him. Working-class trash who got lucky. I hit him. Not hard enough to knock him out, just enough to send him to his knees. Blood ran from his nose onto the white marble floor. That working-class trash is going to destroy him, I said, and when I'm done, I'm coming for you. 10 o'clock. The party was in full swing when my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Old church. Now. Come alone. S. The same message she'd sent earlier, but something felt wrong. The church was 20 minutes away. By the time I got there and back, the party would be ending. Iverson would be expecting her. Another text. Please, can't do this. Have proof he needs. Help. Malcolm saw my face. What is it? I showed him the messages. He frowned. Could be a trap. Could be. But if it's really her... Go. Tony and I will stay here. Keep eyes on Iverson. The church sat in darkness, abandoned for years. Urban decay had claimed it broken windows, graffiti-covered walls, used needles littering the steps. Not the kind of place Sheila would know about, unless someone brought her here. I pushed open the door. It creaked like a horror movie cliché. Sheila? Movement in the shadows. Then she stepped into the moonlight streaming through a broken window, and my heart shattered all over again. She was barefoot, the red dress torn at the shoulder. Mascara ran down her cheeks in black rivers. She clutched something in her hand, a key. Derek! She stumbled toward me, and I caught her as she fell. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's okay. You're safe now. No. She pushed the key into my hand. His safe. In his study. Everything's in there. Videos, contracts, records of bribes, everything. How did you... I stole it when he was on top of me. He didn't notice. She laughed, bitter and broken. Men never do when they're getting what they want. We're leaving, right now. I'll take you somewhere safe. I can't. She pulled away. If I don't go back, he'll release the videos. Not just of me, of all of them. Dozens of women, Derek. Their lives will be destroyed. We'll stop him. How? He has copies everywhere. Cloud storage, physical drives, safety deposit boxes. The only way to stop him is to get the master files from his safe and the passwords to delete the online copies. It's all there, but I need more time. No, absolutely not. You're not going back to him. She touched my face. Her hand was cold, trembling. 3 more nights. I can survive 3 more nights if it means ending this forever. You tried to kill yourself this morning. Allison lied to make you act. I needed you angry enough to help, but not so angry you'd do something stupid. She smiled sadly. I know you, Derek. You're planning something violent. Don't. Get the evidence from his safe. Build a legal case. That's how we win. Before I could respond, car headlights flooded the church. Iverson's Bentley pulled up outside. He tracked my phone, Sheila whispered. I'm sorry. I thought I'd have more time. Back door. There isn't one. Derek, listen. Whatever happens, don't fight. He has men with him. They'll kill you. The church door burst open. 4 men entered, Iverson behind them. He looked perfectly composed, not a hair out of place. Well, a clandestine meeting. How romantic. His eyes fixed on Sheila. You've been very naughty, my dear. We had an agreement. I needed air, she said, moving away from me. The party was suffocating. And you just happened to run into your husband at an abandoned church? He laughed. Please. I'm not stupid. His gaze shifted to me. Mr. Derek, still trying to play hero? Haven't you learned by now? I own her. Legally, financially, and after tonight. Physically. I'll kill you, I said simply. No, you won't. Because if anything happens to me, every video goes public. Your sweet wife performing acts that would make a prostitute blush. Would you like to know what she did tonight? How she begged? Sheila made a sound like a wounded animal. I started forward, but his men raised their weapons. Be smart, Derek. Walk away. Take the money I'm willing to offer for a quiet divorce and disappear. It's really quite generous. £5 million to forget you ever knew her. Go to hell. Hell? He smiled. I own hell, and your wife is my favorite demon. He grabbed Sheila's arm, pulling her against him. Say goodbye to your husband, darling. It's the last time you'll see him. She looked at me, those green eyes full of pain and something else, determination. Goodbye, Derek, she said. Then so quietly only I could hear, check the news tomorrow. They left. I stood in that broken church, fists clenched, rage building until I thought I'd explode. Malcolm found me there an hour later, still standing in the same spot. Derek? What happened? I told him everything. He listened, then pulled out his phone. What are you doing? Calling William. If she said check the news tomorrow, she's planning something. We need to be ready. I looked at the key in my hand. Small, brass, unremarkable. But it might be the weapon that finally destroyed Iverson. Malcolm, call everyone. Tomorrow night, we hit his house while he's with Sheila. We get into that safe. That's breaking and entering. That's justice. And if we're lucky, we'll catch him in the act. Then no court in the world will convict me for what I'll do to him. Malcolm studied my face. Whatever he saw there made him nod. All right. Tomorrow night. We end this. I looked up at the broken church ceiling, at the stars visible through the holes. Somewhere out there, my wife was suffering for the promise of freedom. Tomorrow, I'd either save her or die trying. There was no third option. 2 a.m. The Bentley was gone from Iverson's driveway. His mansion sat like a cancer in Mayfair, all marble columns and black windows, beautiful on the outside, rotten within. Malcolm crouched beside me in the shadows. Behind us, Tony, Marcus, and 2 of the other husbands, Robert and Paul. James was notably absent. After what Sheila had hinted about a traitor, we couldn't risk it. Guards, Malcolm whispered. Should be unconscious, Tony replied, checking his watch. William's friends were very specific. They had 8 pints at the pub, all drugged. They'll wake up tomorrow with the worst hangover of their lives and no memory of tonight. I studied the house through binoculars. Cameras? Disabled, Marcus confirmed, holding up a device that looked military grade. EMP burst. Fried everything electronic in a 50-meter radius. We have maybe an hour before the backup systems kick in. The kitchen window broke easily. We moved through Iverson's house like ghosts, though every instinct screamed at me to tear the place apart. The opulence was obscene paintings worth more than most people's homes, furniture that belonged in museums, a chandelier that could feed a family for years. Safe's in the study, I whispered, remembering Sheila's words. The study door was locked. Tony had it open in seconds, skills learned in a different life, now serving justice. The safe stood behind a false panel, exactly where Sheila had said. I inserted the key, turned it, and heard the satisfying click of tumblers falling into place. Inside, hundreds of DVDs, each labeled with initials and dates, USB drives in neat rows, physical photographs that made my stomach turn, and files, so many files, contracts, bank statements, correspondence. Jesus, Robert breathed, reading over my shoulder. These names, members of parliament, judges, CEOs. Blackmail material, Malcolm said. He's been building this for years. I grabbed everything, filling the bags we'd brought, every piece of evidence, every recording. Then I saw a folder marked SD. Sheila Derek. My hands shook as I opened it. Photos of our house from angles that could only mean cameras inside. Surveillance reports going back 2 years. And a contract signed by her father, essentially selling his daughter for debt forgiveness. Derek! Paul's voice was urgent. Car coming. Headlights swept across the windows. Iverson's Bentley. He's early, Malcolm hissed. Or Sheila couldn't take any more, I said, shoving the last files into bags. Everyone out. Now. Too late, Tony said from the window. He's at the door. We heard the front door open. Voices. Iverson's laugh, drunk and mean. Then a sound that froze my blood, Sheila crying. Get out, I ordered the others. Take everything. Go. Derek. That's my wife. Go. They went reluctantly out the kitchen window with the evidence. I stayed, moving silently toward the voices. Through a crack in the door, I saw them in the living room. Iverson had Sheila pressed against the wall. Her dress, that obscene red thing, was torn completely now, hanging off her shoulders. His hands were everywhere. She stood frozen, eyes closed, tears streaming down her face. "You disappointed me tonight," he was saying. "Leaving the party early, meeting him. Did you think I wouldn't know?" "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Sorry isn't enough." He grabbed her throat. "I think you need another lesson in obedience." I was moving before my brain caught up. Through the door, across the room, my fist connecting with his jaw before he even saw me coming. He went down hard, blood spattering the white carpet. "Derek!" Sheila gasped. "We're leaving. Now." But Iverson was already getting up, laughing through bloody teeth. "Breaking and entering? Assault? You just gave me everything I need to destroy you legally." "I don't care. You will." He pulled out his phone. "One call. Every video goes live. Your precious wife becomes the most famous whore in England." I grabbed the phone, crushed it under my foot. "No more games." He laughed harder. "You think I need that phone? Everything's automated. If I don't enter a code every 24 hours, everything releases. You've just guaranteed her destruction." Two men appeared in the doorway, not his usual security. These were different, professionals. They had guns. "Kill him," Iverson ordered casually, wiping blood from his mouth. "Make it look like a burglary." The first shot missed my head by inches. I dove, pulling Sheila with me behind the couch. More shots. The expensive furniture exploded in clouds of stuffing and splinters. Then different gunfire. Malcolm and Tony had come back, firing from the doorway. One of Iverson's men went down. The other took cover. In the chaos, Iverson ran. I heard his feet on the stairs, heading up. "The panic room!" Sheila gasped. "He has a panic room upstairs! If he gets in there—" I was already running, up the stairs, following the sound of his movement. I caught him at the door to what looked like a closet but was actually reinforced steel. My hand caught the door just before it sealed. He pulled a knife. Of course he did. Men like him always had one last trick. We fought in that narrow space, him slashing, me trying to get the blade. It caught my arm, opening a long gash. Blood splattered the walls. Then I had his wrist, twisting until bones cracked. The knife fell. "You're done," I told him. "Never," he snarled. "I have friends, resources. Even if you put me away, I'll destroy her from prison." "No, you won't." I hit him again, and again. All the rage of the past months, all the pain of seeing my wife broken, all the fury at a system that let men like him exist, it all came out through my fists. By the time Malcolm pulled me off, Iverson wasn't moving. "Enough! Derek, enough! You'll kill him!" "Good. No, not good. We need him alive. To decrypt the files, to stop the automatic release." Sirens in the distance, getting closer. "We need to go," Tony urged from the stairs. "Take Sheila," I said. "Get her safe." "What about you?" I looked at Iverson's unconscious form. "I'm staying. Someone needs to be here when the police arrive to explain." "They'll arrest you." "Let them." 10 minutes later, I sat in handcuffs while Inspector Davies surveyed the scene. We knew each other. He'd grown up 3 streets over from me. He looked at Iverson being loaded into an ambulance, at the blood on the walls, at me sitting calmly in custody. "Want to tell me what happened here, Derek? He was raping my wife. I stopped him. By breaking into his house? By doing what you couldn't or wouldn't." Davies flinched. "That's not fair. Isn't it? How many women has he hurt while you looked the other way? How many bribes have your superiors taken?" "You can't prove." "Actually, I can." Rachel walked in then, every inch the lawyer despite the late hour. She carried a tablet, which she handed to Davies. "Inspector, I think you'll want to see this. It's just been posted online. Every major newspaper in the country has it." Davies watched, his face going pale. I couldn't see the screen, but I could hear it. Audio recordings of Iverson discussing bribes with a deputy commissioner. Video of him at what was clearly a trafficking auction. Documents showing money transfers to judges. "This is the end of him," Rachel said simply. "And possibly your department's corruption unit will be very interested in some of the names mentioned." Davies looked at me. "You did this." "I protected my wife." Everything else is just consequence. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, Iverson's men say you attacked first, but funny thing, the security cameras were all fried. Some kind of electrical surge. Without video evidence, it's their word against yours. And my wife's, Rachel added. She's giving a statement now. About the repeated sexual assaults, the drugging, the blackmail. The drugs we found in his system support temporary insanity, Davies said slowly. Man finds his wife being assaulted, loses control. Happens all the time. He unlocked my handcuffs. You're not arresting me? For what? Defending your wife from a rapist? The CPS would laugh me out of the building. He stood. But Derek? Next time you decide to take justice into your own hands, maybe give us a heads up. Some of us have been wanting Iverson for years. They found 3 women locked in Iverson's basement. They'd been there for weeks, maybe months. One was pregnant. Another was only 19. The third wouldn't speak, wouldn't even give her name. Just sat there, staring at nothing. The ambulance took them away, but their eyes stayed with me. Empty, broken, like Sheila's had been. Where is she? I asked Rachel. Hospital. Malcolm's with her. Is she? Physically, she'll recover. Emotionally, that will take time. I thought about the evidence we'd taken, the hundreds of victims on those recordings, the network of powerful men who'd enabled this. This isn't over, I said. No, Rachel agreed. It's just beginning. St. Mary's Hospital smelled of disinfectant and despair. I'd been here 3 hours watching Sheila sleep. The doctors had sedated her after she'd tried to claw her own skin off, screaming about feeling dirty, about his hands still being on her. Her face, even in drugged sleep, wasn't peaceful. She twitched, whimpered, fought invisible demons. The bruises on her throat had turned purple-black, 5 distinct finger marks where he'd choked her. She's been systematically traumatized, Dr. Patel had explained, clinical and detached. Sexual assault, yes, but also psychological torture. The drugs in her system, we've never seen this combination before, designed to ensure compliance while maintaining consciousness. She was aware of everything but unable to resist. How long? I'd asked. The drug metabolites suggest regular dosing over at least 2 years. 2 years, before we'd even had our problems, before that first charity event. How long had Iverson been planning this? Samantha sat in the corner crying quietly. She'd aged a decade overnight. Her perfect makeup was gone, her expensive clothes wrinkled. She looked like what she was, a mother who'd failed her daughter. I knew, she whispered suddenly. I turned. What? I knew something was wrong. 2 years ago, Sheila changed, became withdrawn, started having nightmares. I thought it was stress from work, from trying to please her father. She looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. I should have asked, should have pushed, but Richard said to leave her alone, that she was fine. You knew he was selling her to Iverson. No. The word came out sharp, desperate. I knew about the debt, knew Richard was in trouble, but I thought it would be dinner meetings, maybe some flirtation, business arrangements, not this. You thought your daughter whoring herself out for business was acceptable. She flinched. You don't understand. Richard would have killed himself before admitting failure. His pride, his reputation, they're everything to him. I thought if Sheila could smooth things over, charm Iverson a little. Charm him? Your daughter has ligature marks on her wrists from being tied down. Allison entered then, carrying coffee. She looked between us, reading the tension. The lawyers are here, she said quietly. The emergency hearing is in 2 hours. The courthouse was chaos. Media everywhere, shouting questions. Mr. Derek, did you know about the trafficking ring? How long has your wife been a victim? Will you be pressing charges? Rachel formed a barrier with 3 other lawyers getting us inside. The emergency hearing was closed, no media, just the principals and their legal teams. Iverson was there, left arm in a sling, face a mess of bruises and cuts. I'd done more damage than I'd thought. Good. His lawyer, a shark in a 3,000-pound suit, whispered urgently in his ear. Judge Harrison, one of the few judges not on Iverson's payroll according to the files we'd found, looked grim as she reviewed the evidence. Mr. Iverson, she began, you're charged with multiple counts of rape, Human trafficking, blackmail, and conspiracy. How do you plead? Not guilty, his lawyer said smoothly. My client was engaged in consensual relationships. Consensual, I stood up. Your client drugged my wife. Mr. Derrick, sit down, the judge ordered. You'll have your chance to speak. Iverson's lawyer continued. We have video evidence of Mrs. Derrick entering Mr. Iverson's property willingly on multiple occasions. We have contracts signed by her father authorizing a business relationship. Any physical contact was consensual adult behavior. Your Honor, Rachel interrupted, we have medical evidence of systematic drugging. We have recordings of Mr. Iverson discussing using chemical compliance. We have 3 women found imprisoned in his basement. Allegedly imprisoned, Iverson's lawyer countered. They were guests who chose. One was chained to a radiator. The judge held up her hand for silence. Mr. Iverson, the evidence suggests a pattern of predatory behavior. You're remanded without bail pending trial. Your Honor, his lawyer protested. My client is a respected businessman. Your client is a flight risk with resources to disappear. Bailiffs, take him into custody. As they led Iverson past me, he leaned close. This isn't over. You have no idea who you're really fighting. Then something unexpected happened. Sheila's father stood up. Your Honor, I wish to make a statement. His lawyer tried to stop him, but Richard shrugged him off. He looked terrible, suit-wrinkled, face haggard, the nose I'd broken still swollen. I sold my daughter, he said simply. I owed Iverson money I couldn't pay. He offered to forgive the debt if Sheila would, accommodate him. I agreed. I forced her, threatened to disown her if she refused, told her hundreds of jobs depended on her sacrifice. The courtroom was silent. I've destroyed my daughter for money and pride. I deserve whatever punishment the court sees fit. He sat down. Samantha stared at him like she'd never seen him before. You bastard, she whispered. You complete bastard. The judge cleared her throat. Mr. Derrick, given these revelations, the court recommends immediate psychiatric evaluation for your wife and protective custody for all victims. This case will be transferred to the Crown Court for full prosecution. Outside the courthouse, Rachel pulled me aside. Derrick, we have a problem. William just called. One of Iverson's victims wants to meet with you. Says she has evidence of something bigger. Sarah Whitmore didn't look like a victim. She looked like a warrior. Tall, athletic, with eyes that had seen hell and survived. She sat across from me in Rachel's office, perfectly composed. I was Iverson's first, she said without preamble. 7 years ago. I was 22 working as a model. He drugged me at a party, kept me for 3 months. I'm sorry. I don't want your pity. I want your help. Iverson was never the top of the food chain. He was middle management. My blood chilled. What do you mean? She pulled out a laptop, opened an encrypted file. I spent 3 years investigating after I escaped. Iverson is part of something called the Council. 12 members, all wealthy, all powerful. They trade women like baseball cards. Your wife wasn't just for Iverson's pleasure. She was being groomed for auction. Auction? International buyers, mostly Middle Eastern and Eastern European. They pay millions for the right woman. Educated, beautiful, already broken in. I thought I might vomit. The police are either bought or powerless. The council includes judges, ministers, even someone in the royal household. She showed me documents, photos, financial records. Iverson's arrest has them panicked. They'll either try to silence everyone or accelerate their plans. What do you mean, accelerate? There's a ship leaving tomorrow night. Container vessel bound for Dubai. They have 12 women ready for transport. If Iverson talked, if he made a deal. My phone rang. Allison, hysterical. Derrick, Sheila's gone. She was in her room. The nurse went to check and the window was open. There's blood on the sill and... What? There's a note. It says drop all charges or she dies. You have 6 hours. I looked at Sarah. She was already packing up her laptop. They moved faster than I thought, she said. If they have her, she's probably already on her way to the ship. Where? Tilbury docks. But Derrick, if we're wrong, if we spook them, they'll kill her and dump her body in the Thames. I stood. Decision made. Then we'd better not be wrong. You can't go to the police. The council has people everywhere. I wasn't planning to. I called Malcolm. Get everyone, and I mean everyone. Full kit. What's happening? They took her. We're getting her back. Derek, Sarah said as I headed for the door. There's something else. Something I found in the files. What? Your mother-in-law, Samantha. She's been making payments to an account in the Caymans for 15 years. Same account that pays for the trafficking ships. I stopped. You're saying? I'm saying Sheila's mother might not be as innocent as she appears. 24 hours. Sheila had been missing for 24 hours. The note they'd left was clear. Drop all charges or she dies. But the CCTV footage Sarah had pulled from nearby buildings told a different story. Sheila hadn't been taken by force. She'd walked out of the hospital on her own, following two men in suits. No struggle. No resistance. Just that same empty, puppet-like walk I'd seen at the charity event. She's been programmed, Sarah explained, reviewing the footage in Malcolm's office. We'd made it our temporary headquarters away from my house, which was certainly being watched. The drugs Iverson used, combined with systematic abuse, create a conditioned response. Certain triggers, words, sounds, even smells can activate compliance. You're saying she's been brainwashed? In simple terms, yes. It's a technique used in trafficking rings. Makes the victims easier to control, less likely to escape even when they have the opportunity. Malcolm spread out a map of London on the table. Based on the van's direction and traffic cameras, they headed east. Lost them near Stratford. But if Sarah's right about the ship. Tilbury Docks, I finished. But that's huge. Hundreds of containers. We'd need an army to search it all. Or inside information. Sarah pulled up financial records on her laptop. The shipping company, Neptune Logistics, is owned by a shell corporation in Panama. But look at the board of directors. One name jumped out. Samantha Fitzgerald, Sheila's mother. That's not possible, I said. The payments go back 15 years, Sarah continued, before she even married Richard. She's been part of this from the beginning. I thought about Samantha crying in the hospital. The grieving mother act. Christ, she'd played us all. There's more, Sarah said. I tracked her phone. She received a call from a burner phone an hour before Sheila disappeared. Then she made a call to someone listed as, quote, V.K, quote, in her contacts. VK, the same initials from Iverson's money transfer. My phone rang. Unknown number. Derek? Sheila's voice, but wrong. Flat. Mechanical. I'm calling to tell you I'm safe. I've chosen to leave. Please don't look for me. Sheila, where are you? I'm safe, she repeated. Exact same intonation. I've chosen to leave. Please don't look for me. They're making you say this. I'm safe. I've chosen to leave. Please. A man's voice cut in. Accented. Eastern European. You see? Your wife is fine. She has made her choice. Stop the investigation. Drop the charges and she remains fine. Continue, and pieces of her will start arriving at your door. Who are you? Someone who cleans up other people's messes. Iverson was sloppy. The council is not happy. Your wife is payment for his mistakes. She's not property to be traded. In our world, Mr. Derek, everything is property. You have 12 hours now. The ship sails at midnight. The line went dead. Did you trace it? I asked Marcus, who'd been working on his laptop. Docklands, rough area, but I've got it within a half-mile radius. Then we go now. Derek, Malcolm said carefully, this could be a trap. They want you to come. I don't care. And if they kill you both? I looked around the room. Malcolm, Tony, Marcus, Paul, Robert. Even James had shown up, swearing he'd been threatened, not turned. 7 of us against God knew how many. Sarah, how many women did you say were being shipped? 12, according to the manifest I hacked. Then we're not just saving Sheila. We're saving all of them. The warehouse district in East London was a maze of rust and decay. We parked a half-mile away, moved in on foot. The building Sarah had identified squatted like a wounded animal between newer developments. Windows boarded, walls tagged with graffiti. But the locks were new. Electronic, high-end. Guard rotation every 20 minutes, Tony observed, watching through binoculars. 4 men, professional, military bearing. Mercenaries, Sarah said. The council uses special forces for security. Can we take them? Not in a straight fight. Then we don't fight straight. The plan was simple. James would approach the front, playing the lost drunk. When the guards moved to intercept, we'd hit from 3 sides. Quick, quiet, efficient. It almost worked. James sold his performance perfectly, stumbling and singing off-key. 2 guards moved toward him. We struck Tony and Marcus from the left, Malcolm and Paul from the right, me and Robert through a loading dock. The first guard went down silent, Tony's arm around his throat. The second managed to shout before Marcus dropped him. Then everything went to hell. Lights blazed. More men poured out, not 4, but a dozen. We'd been expected. The fight was brutal and short. These weren't street thugs or amateur security. These were killers. Robert went down first, a knife between his ribs. Paul's arm snapped with a sound like a branch breaking. Tony held his own until a baton caught him across the temple. I fought with everything the estate had taught me. Dirty, vicious, survival mode. But there were too many. Then gunfire. Not at us, at them. 3 mercenaries dropped. The rest scrambled for cover. Rachel appeared with a police tactical unit. Thought you might need backup. How? Sarah called me. Said you'd do something stupid. She was right. Inspector Davies was with them, wearing tactical gear. Trafficking raid, he said simply. Anonymous tip about kidnapped women. Nothing to do with you being here, of course. The mercenaries surrendered when they realized they were outgunned. We entered the warehouse. The smell hit first. Sweat, fear, human waste. Then the sounds crying, pleading, chains rattling. They were in the basement. 12 women, different ages, different nationalities, all broken in the same way. Chained to the walls, drugged, some barely conscious. And in the corner, still in that torn red dress, Sheila. She looked through me like I wasn't there. Sheila? Nothing. Her eyes were empty. Whatever they'd done in the last 24 hours had finally broken her completely. Get the medics, Davies ordered. All of them to hospital. Now. As they led the women out, I stayed with Sheila. She didn't resist when I unchained her, didn't react when I covered her with my jacket. Just stood there, waiting for orders like a robot. What did they do to you? I whispered. Sarah found the answer upstairs. Videos on a laptop, showing the training process. I couldn't watch more than 30 seconds. Torture disguised as conditioning, breaking the mind as thoroughly as the body. There's a name, Sarah said. The man running this operation. Viktor Kozlov, former KGB, now freelance. He specializes in programming. VK, I said. He's probably already out of the country. Men like him have exit strategies. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You saved 12. There are 1,200 more. This is bigger than you can imagine. Stop now, or lose everything. I looked at Sheila being loaded into an ambulance, at the other women being rescued, at Robert's body being zipped into a bag. They're right, Malcolm said, reading over my shoulder. This is too big. We're in over our heads. Then we'd better learn to swim. Davies approached, notebook out. I need statements from everyone. Inspector, I said, we found evidence upstairs. The council doesn't exist, he cut me off. Officially? Unofficially, you've just declared war on some of the most powerful people in Europe. Are you prepared for that? I thought about Sheila's empty eyes, about the women in chains, about all the victims still out there. Yes. Then God help you, because no one else will. As we left the warehouse, Sarah grabbed my arm. Derek, there's something else. The shipping manifest showed 13 women, not 12. We found 12. Exactly. Someone's missing. And according to this, she showed me a document. She was labeled as Special Acquisition. Young, blonde, green eyes. My blood chilled. Allison. Sheila's sister fits the description, and she hasn't answered her phone in 6 hours. The call came at 7 in the morning. Malcolm's voice, urgent. Turn on the news. Richard Fitzgerald had been shot 3 times leaving his office. Chest, shoulder, abdomen. The reporter spoke in that practiced tone of detached tragedy while behind her, crime scene tape fluttered in the wind. He was in surgery, critical condition, not expected to survive. I felt nothing. Should I have? The man who'd sold his daughter to a monster was dying, and all I could think was that he'd gotten off easy. Sheila sat in the hospital bed, staring at the television without seeing it. She hadn't spoken since the warehouse. The doctors said it was psychological withdrawal, a defense mechanism. Her mind had simply shut down rather than process what had been done to her. "Your father's been shot," I told her. Nothing, not even a blink. Samantha arrived an hour later, playing the distraught wife perfectly. Tears, shaking hands, designer black dress that she'd somehow had time to put on despite the emergency. The performance might have fooled everyone else, not me, not after what Sarah had shown me. "How dare you!" she hissed when we were alone. "How dare you sit here while my husband dies? Your husband was shot by the people you work with." Her mask slipped for just a second. Fear flashed in her eyes before the grieving widow returned. "I don't know what you're talking about. Neptune Logistics, 15 years of payments. You're neck deep in this, Samantha." She studied me, calculating. Then she smiled, cold, predatory, nothing like the broken mother she'd been playing. "Prove it." Before I could respond, her phone rang. She answered, listened, then handed it to me. "It's for you." A man's voice, cultured, British, old money accent. "Mr. Derrick, you've been causing quite a stir." "Who is this?" "Someone who can end your wife's suffering or prolong it indefinitely. Richard's shooting was a warning. Continue your crusade and Sheila will be next. Then your mother, your friends, everyone you care about." "The council's getting desperate." "The council doesn't exist, but certain interested parties do, and we protect our interests. Richard forgot that. Don't make his mistake." The line went dead. An hour later, Rachel arrived with news from the courthouse. Iverson wants to make a deal. The courtroom was packed. Media, victims' families, curiosity seekers. Iverson sat at the defendant's table, orange jumpsuit replacing his expensive suits. He looked smaller somehow, diminished, but his eyes still held that cold calculation. "Your Honor," his new lawyer began, "my client wishes to amend his statement." Judge Harrison looked skeptical. "Proceed." Iverson stood. "I've been coerced into taking responsibility for crimes I didn't commit alone. I'm prepared to name names, provide evidence in exchange for a reduced sentence." The prosecutor objected immediately. "The defendant can't simply—" "I have names," Iverson continued. 12 members of what's called the council. Judges, politicians, business leaders, all involved in trafficking, blackmail, murder. The courtroom erupted. The judge called for order. "These are serious allegations, Mr. Iverson. I have proof. Documents, recordings, videos, all in secure locations. I'll provide everything in exchange for 15 years instead of life." I stood up. "Your Honor, this man raped my wife. Mr. Derrick, sit down or be removed." But I saw the fear in Iverson's eyes when he looked at me. He was desperate. The council had abandoned him, maybe even ordered the hit on Richard. He was trying to save himself. "I'll provide everything," Iverson repeated, "including evidence that Samantha Fitzgerald has been running the UK operation for 5 years. Samantha, sitting behind me, gasped. Perfect performance of shock and betrayal. But I'd seen her real face now. The judge called a recess. In the hallway, chaos. Reporters shoving microphones at anyone involved. I pushed through them to find Rachel. Is he serious? Dead serious. And if he has what he claims, this becomes the biggest criminal case in UK history. Can they really reduce his sentence? If his information stops a trafficking ring, saves lives, yes. I wanted to object, to scream that he didn't deserve mercy. But if it meant destroying the council, saving other women from Sheila's fate. "There's something else," Rachel said. "The police want to put you and Sheila in protective custody. If Iverson's telling the truth, you're both in danger." Back at the hospital, Sheila had been moved to the psychiatric ward. Suicide watch. They'd found her in the bathroom with a shard of mirror glass, trying to cut her wrists. The nurses had stopped her, but barely. She was sedated now, wrists bandaged, restrained to the bed. They'd had to shave part of her head to stitch a wound where she'd banged it against the wall. "Why?" I asked the psychiatrist. "Why is she doing this?" "The trauma she's experienced has fractured her sense of self. She doesn't know who she is anymore. The conditioning, the drugs, the abuse, they've erased the person she was. What's left is struggling to exist." "Will she recover?" with time, therapy, support. But Mr. Derek, she may never be the person she was before. I sat beside her bed holding her restrained hand. I don't need her to be who she was. I just need her to survive. Allison arrived then, finally answering her phone after 12 hours of silence. She looked exhausted, clothes disheveled. "Where were you?" "Hiding," she admitted. "After Dad was shot, I got a call. They said I was next if I didn't disappear." "Who?" "I don't know. But Derek, I found something in Dad's office, before the shooting." She pulled out a USB drive. "He was keeping insurance, records of everything. Not just his deals, but others. Including Mum." "You know about your mother?" Her face crumpled. "I know she's been part of it. I know she helped them take Sheila. God, my own mother." I took the USB. "What else is on here?" "Everything. The council's structure, their contacts, their shipping routes. Dad was paranoid. He recorded every meeting, every call. It's all here." "Why didn't he use it?" "Because Mum's on there too. Despite everything, he still loved her." That night, everything went wrong at once. Malcolm called first. "Someone tried to poison me. Coffee at the office. If I hadn't noticed the smell." Then Rachel. "My brakes were cut. I'm okay, but the car's totaled." William. "Dead pig's head in my bed. Note says stop or you're next." The council was striking back, systematically targeting everyone involved in the investigation. They wanted us scared, scattered, defensive. My phone rang. Unknown number. "You were warned," the cultured voice said. "Now watch your wife pay for your stubbornness." The hospital called 30 seconds later. Sheila was missing. The night nurse had been found unconscious. The window was open, restraints cut. But this time I was ready. I'd placed a tracker in Sheila's hair when I'd visited, hidden under the bandages. Paranoid? Maybe. But justified. "She's moving east," Marcus said, watching his laptop. "Same direction as before." "The docks again?" "No. Different route. Heading toward Epping Forest." The council was changing tactics. No more warehouses, no more ships. They were going to make her disappear permanently. "Get everyone," I told Malcolm. "And I mean everyone. This ends tonight." "Derek, they're expecting us. This is clearly a trap." "I don't care. They have my wife." "And if we all die?" I looked at the USB Allison had given me. "Then make sure this gets to every newspaper in the country. Let them burn in the spotlight." We loaded up. Weapons, armor, everything we could get our hands on. 7 men against an organization that had ruled from the shadows for decades. The odds were shit, but I'd grown up with shit odds. And sometimes, that's when you fight hardest. Epping Forest at midnight was a wall of black. The tracker showed Sheila's location 2 miles in, off any marked trail. We left the vehicles at the forest edge, moved in on foot. 7 men armed for war, walking into God knew what. But we weren't alone. "Derek." The voice came from the shadows. James stepped out, hands raised. "Don't shoot. You betrayed us," Tony growled, weapon rising. "They had my daughter," James said quickly. "Lucy. Took her from school, said they'd sell her if I didn't report on you. But she's safe now. I got her out of the country this morning. I'm here to help." I studied his face in the moonlight. Saw the same desperation I'd felt, the same rage. "How many men does the council have out here?" 20, maybe more. They're holding a ceremony, something about inducting new members. Ceremony. They call it the breaking, where they demonstrate their power. Your wife is the demonstration. My hands clenched. Malcolm put a steadying hand on my shoulder. "There's more," James continued. "Robert and Paul are here too. And Louis and Chen, 2 other husbands you haven't met. We've all been tracking this. We're all ready to end it." Figures emerged from the trees. Men I recognized from support groups, from hushed conversations in hospital waiting rooms. All victims of the council, all armed. 9 of us now, Robert said. His wife had killed herself 6 months ago. Against 20, better odds. "Still shit," Marcus observed. "Then we be smart," I said. "James, you've been inside. What's the layout?" He drew in the dirt with a stick. "Old hunting lodge, abandoned for decades. Main hall, 2 wings. They'll be in the main hall for the ceremony. Guards on perimeter, but they're confident. Arrogant. They don't expect an attack. Where's Sheila? Prep room in the East Wing, with the other offerings. Others? 3 more women, new acquisitions. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. 10 minutes until the ceremony begins. Your wife will be first. Come watch your failure. They were taunting me. Good. Angry people make mistakes. We split up, I decided. James, Robert, Paul, you take the West Wing. Create a distraction. Malcolm, Tony, Marcus, you're with me on the East. Get the women out. Lewis and Chen, perimeter. No one escapes. What about the council members? I thought about everything they'd done. All the lives destroyed. Whatever happens, happens. The lodge squatted in a clearing like a cancer. Lights blazed from tall windows, shadows moving inside. We could hear voices, laughter, champagne glasses clinking. A party while women suffered. The East Wing was darker, quieter. 2 guards at the door, smoking, relaxed. They never saw Tony and Marcus coming. Quick, silent, efficient. We were inside. The corridor reeked of fear and antiseptic. 4 doors, all locked from outside. I could hear crying from one, prayers from another. The 3rd room held Sheila. She sat on a medical table wearing a white shift that made her look like a sacrifice, which she was. Her eyes were closed, but when I entered, they opened. And for the first time in days, they were clear, alert, her. Derek? We're getting you out. No. She stood, steadier than she'd been in weeks. Not yet. I need to do something first. Sheila, you're not well. I know exactly what I am. Her voice was hard, focused. They think they broke me. Let them think it. But I've been listening, watching. I know their secrets, their safe combinations, their computer passwords, everything. How? The drugs. They wanted me compliant but conscious. They didn't realize consciousness means memory. I remember every sick thing they did, every word they said. She pulled something from under the medical table, a hard drive. I copied everything while they thought I was catatonic. Names, accounts, video evidence. When did you... This morning, when I escaped the hospital. I came here on my own. The tracker. I knew you'd put one on me. You're predictable that way. She almost smiled. I needed you to follow, but not too soon. I had to get this first. Gunfire erupted from the West Wing. Our distraction had started. We need to go, Malcolm urged. No, Sheila said. I need to go to the main hall. Absolutely not. Derek, listen. The ceremony requires the offering to walk in willingly. If I don't show, they'll scatter. We'll lose them. But if I walk in, you'll have them all in one room. It's suicide. It's justice. She touched my face. Trust me. For once in this nightmare, trust me to be strong enough. I wanted to refuse. Every instinct screamed to grab her and run, but looking in her eyes, I saw something I'd thought was gone forever. Purpose. 5 minutes, I said. Then we come in. Make it 3. I don't know how long I can pretend. The main hall was obscene. 12 figures in black robes, faces hidden by masks, a marble altar in the center, chains attached to the walls, and standing by the altar, mask pushed up, directing preparations, Samantha, Sheila's own mother. I watched through a crack in the door as Sheila entered from the other side. Perfect performance of the broken doll. Shuffling walk, empty eyes, no resistance as they led her to the altar. Gentlemen, Samantha announced, tonight we induct 3 new members and celebrate our resilience despite recent setbacks. Murmurs of agreement from the robed figures. This offering, she gestured to Sheila, is particularly special. My own daughter, prepared over years for this moment. Your daughter? One of the figures asked. Proof of my commitment to our cause. No one is above the council's needs. She pulled out a knife, ancient-looking, ceremonial, placed it against Sheila's throat. With this sacrifice, we... The west doors exploded inward, James and his team firing smoke grenades, the room filled with chaos, robed figures scrambling, shouting. We burst through the east entrance. I went straight for Sheila, but Samantha still had the knife at her throat. Stay back! Samantha screamed. I'll kill her! Mom! Allison's voice from behind me. She'd followed us, must have been in one of the cars. What are you doing? What I've always done. What's necessary. Samantha's mask had fallen completely. This was her true face, cold, calculating, monstrous. Your father was weak, sentimental. He would have destroyed everything we built. You shot Dad? He was going to confess, reveal everything to save his precious Sheila. I couldn't allow it. You're insane. I'm practical. The council has made me rich, powerful. I won't let anyone destroy that. Not Richard, not Derek, not even Sheila. The knife pressed harder. Blood trickled down Sheila's throat. Though I am curious, Samantha continued, how you all found us. This location was secret. Sheila spoke then, voice clear despite the blade. I told them, impossible. You were broken, empty. I was waiting. Sheila's hand moved fast, grabbing her mother's wrist, twisting. The knife fell. Waiting for this. They struggled, but Samantha was stronger, desperate. She pulled a gun from under her robe, aimed it at Sheila's head. The shot was loud in the enclosed space, but it wasn't Samantha's gun that fired. Allison stood behind her mother, smoking pistol in her hand. Samantha looked down at the spreading red stain on her chest, then at her younger daughter. You? She gasped. You killed Dad. You destroyed Sheila. You're not my mother. You're a monster. Samantha fell. The light left her eyes before she hit the floor. Around us, chaos continued. The council members trying to flee, our group containing them. Police sirens in the distance, someone had called them. I held Sheila as she stared at her mother's body. No tears, no emotion, just empty observation. It's over, I told her. No, she said quietly. It's just beginning. The council has members everywhere, in government, police, judiciary. We cut off one head, but the body remains. Then we keep cutting. She looked at me then, really looked at me. I'm not who I was, Derek. I never will be again. I know. Can you live with that, with what I've become? I thought about everything we'd been through, everything we'd lost, everything we might still lose. Can you? She was quiet for a long moment. Then, I don't know, but I want to try. The aftermath was a massacre of truth. 6 council members dead in the firefight, 5 arrested. One, a high court judge whose name I won't speak, put his ceremonial blade through his own throat rather than face exposure. The lodge floor looked like a slaughterhouse, blood mixing with scattered masks and torn robes. Davies arrived with 3 tactical units, took in the scene with professional detachment. Christ, Derek, this is necessary, I finished. I was going to say a diplomatic nightmare. Do you know who these people are? Monsters, Allison said. She hadn't moved from where she'd shot her mother, gun still in her hand. They're monsters. A female officer gently took the weapon, wrapped a blanket around Allison's shoulders. She looked so young suddenly. 23 years old, and she'd just killed her mother to save her sister. The survivors will need protective custody, Davies said. All of them. If even half of what Iverson claimed is true, it's all true. Sheila stood by the altar, that hard drive clutched against her chest like armor. Every word, every name, it's all here. We'll need that as evidence. Copy it, she said. But I keep the original. That's not how evidence works. Inspector, I interrupted. My wife has been through enough. She keeps the drive. Davies looked between us, saw something in my eyes that made him nod. We'll make copies at the station. The hospital basement had been converted into a trauma unit. 23 women found in various rooms of the lodge, different stages of breaking. Some had been there days, some weeks. One girl, she couldn't have been more than 16, had been there 2 months. I found Sheila in the corridor, watching through observation windows as doctors examined the victims. I was lucky, she said quietly. Only a few days. Some of them. They'll never recover. Neither will you. She looked at me, those green eyes holding depths of pain I'd never fully understand. No, but I'll survive. That's more than many get. Sheila. I need to tell you something about the drugs, about what they did. She took a breath. I wasn't unconscious. Not ever. The compound they used paralyzed the body but kept the mind active. I felt everything. Heard everything, but couldn't move, couldn't scream, couldn't even close my eyes. My hands clenched into fists. "I know what you did to Iverson," she continued. "I heard the guards talking, how you nearly killed him with your bare hands. Part of me wishes you had. He's going to prison. For 15 years, maybe less with good behavior, while I'll carry this forever." She touched the bandages on her wrists. "These weren't suicide attempts, Derek. They were trying to feel something, anything, to prove I still existed inside this body." Before I could respond, Rachel appeared. "Iverson wants to see you. Both of you." "Absolutely not," I said. "He says he has information about Samantha, about the real structure of the council. Samantha's dead. But her network isn't. Derek, we need this information." Iverson looked smaller in the prison hospital ward. His face still bore the marks of my fists, purple and yellow bruises painting a map of violence. He was cuffed to the bed, 2 guards watching. "Leave us," he said to the guards. "Not a chance," one replied. "Then at least give us some distance. What I have to say is sensitive." They moved to the doorway, still watching, but out of earshot. "You killed her," Iverson said to Allison. "Your own mother. She wasn't my mother anymore." "Oh, but she was." "Every moment, every decision, every sick thing she did, that was Samantha. The real her." He smiled, split lip cracking. "You didn't know her at all." "Say what you need to say," I cut in. "Samantha wasn't just part of the council. She founded it. 20 years ago, before she even met Richard." He shifted, chains rattling. "She was nobody then, a secretary at an investment firm, but she had vision, saw how powerful men had appetites they couldn't fulfill legally, so she created a solution." "You're lying," Allison said. "Am I? Check the founding documents of Neptune Logistics. Shell Company registered in 1996. Samantha Pierce, sole director, 2 years before she married your father." Sheila spoke for the first time. "Why tell us this?" "Because she betrayed me. Set me up to take the fall while she stayed hidden. I want her legacy destroyed." He looked at Sheila. "I want you to know that every time she held you as a child, every birthday, every Christmas, she was planning this. You were never her daughter. You were inventory." "Enough," I said. But he wasn't done. "There's a house in Kent, abandoned manor. That's where she kept the special ones. The ones too valuable for regular channels. Check the basement. You'll find answers you don't want." "If you're lying." "I'm not. Samantha kept trophies. Videos of every girl who didn't survive the breaking. She liked to watch them. Said it reminded her of her power." Allison ran from the room. I heard her vomiting in the corridor. "We're done here," I said. "One more thing, Derek." His voice dropped. "Your mother." I froze. "Samantha had a file on her. 10 years ago, your mother worked nights at the hospital. Sometimes she'd be last to leave. One night, she saw something she shouldn't have. A patient being moved who wasn't really a patient." "What are you saying?" "Your father's death wasn't an accident. Samantha had him killed to keep your mother quiet. The train crash was staged." The room spun. My father killed because my mother saw something. 10 years of believing it was an accident. "You're lying. Check the Kent house. It's all there. Every murder, every cover-up, every life she destroyed. Samantha was brilliant at documentation. It was her insurance and her weakness." We found the Kent house that night. Exactly where Iverson said. A Victorian manor rotting behind overgrown gardens. The basement door was steel, reinforced, with electronic locks that Marcus bypassed in minutes. The smell hit first. Decay. Death. Fear soaked into the walls. The main room was an archive of horror. Filing cabinets full of photographs, videos, documents, a wall of monitors now dark. Chains bolted to the floor, and in the corner a freezer. I didn't open it. Couldn't. The smell told me enough. Sarah found the files Iverson mentioned. My mother's name, my father's death, all documented with Samantha's precise handwriting. She'd had him pushed in front of the train, made it look like suicide. All because my mother had seen a drugged girl being smuggled out of the hospital. "Derek!" Malcolm called from another room. "You need to see this." The second room was smaller. A desk, a computer, and one wall covered in photographs. All young women, all blonde, all with green eyes, all looking like Sheila. "She was collecting them," Sarah said, reading from a journal on the desk. Girls who looked like her daughter. She called it the project. She was building something. Building what? Sarah kept reading, her face growing paler. A network of perfectly trained women, placed in positions of power through marriage or relationships, senators' wives, CEOs' mistresses, judges' daughters, all under her control. Sleeper agents, Malcolm said. Bloody hell, she was building an empire. I looked at the photographs. Dozens of women, maybe hundreds. How many were out there? How many had been successfully placed? We need to get this to Davies, I said. All of it. Derek, Sheila's voice from behind me. I hadn't heard her enter. There's more. She held a leather journal, hands shaking. It's about me, about before I was born. I took the journal, read the entry she pointed to. Samantha's writing, dated 25 years ago. The pregnancy is progressing well. The buyer is pleased with the genetic screening results. Intelligence indicators are high, physical characteristics optimal. She'll be perfect, my greatest creation, even if I have to pretend to love her until she's ready. Sheila had been planned, bred, created to be sold. I was never real to her, Sheila whispered. Never her daughter, just product. The journal fell from my hands. How deep did this go? How many lives had been planned, manipulated, destroyed? Burn it, Allison said from the doorway. Burn it all. We can't. It's evidence. Then copy what you need and burn the rest. This place, it shouldn't exist. I looked at my wife, my sister-in-law, my friends, all damaged by this woman's empire. Allison was right. Some things shouldn't exist. We took what we needed. Then we set the house ablaze, stood in the garden watching 20 years of horror turn to ash. The fire department would find ruins and bones. Let them make sense of it. What now? Sheila asked. Now we hunt, I said. Every person in those files, every placed woman, every corrupt official, we end it all. That could take years. Then it takes years. She slipped her hand into mine. First time she'd touched me voluntarily since the rescue. Together? She asked. Together. Behind us, Samantha's empire burned. Ahead lay a war we might not win. But for the first time since this nightmare began, we had something more than rage. We had purpose. The story broke at 6 in the morning. Every news channel, every newspaper, every website. Trafficking ring exposed. Judges, MPS, and business elite involved. William had worked through the night with his team, coordinating the release. Maximum impact. No chance for cover-ups or injunctions. By noon, 3 cabinet ministers had resigned. By evening, Scotland Yard had arrested 27 people. The commissioner himself was taken in for questioning, but we couldn't celebrate. We were prisoners in our own home. The media surrounded the house like vultures, cameras pressed against windows, reporters shouting questions through the letterbox. Mr. Derek, how long did you know? Is it true your mother-in-law ran the operation? Will you be suing the government? Parasites feeding on tragedy. We need to move, Malcolm said, peering through the curtains. This isn't sustainable. He was right. We'd already had 3 break-in attempts, journalists trying to steal photographs, documents, anything they could sell. One had gotten into Sheila's room while she slept. The scream when she woke to find a stranger photographing her still echoed in my skull. Where? I asked. Where the hell is safe now? I know a place, Rachel said. She'd been staying with us since her flat was photographed and published online. My family has a cottage in Scotland, remote, secure. No one knows about it. Sheila sat in the corner, knees drawn up, watching the news coverage with empty eyes. They were showing footage from the Kent House fire, speculating about the bodies found in the basement. 7 women, the report said. 7 women who'd never been reported missing because they were nobody. Street workers, addicts, the disposable ones. Did I know them? Sheila asked suddenly. Were they there when I was? I don't know. I might have walked past them, heard them crying, and I did nothing. You couldn't have... I was conscious, Derek. Always conscious. I heard everything. Their screams, their begging, and I just lay there. You were drugged, paralyzed. I was a coward. She stood abruptly. I need to go to treatment. Real treatment, not just medical. The Priory was England's most exclusive psychiatric facility. Private rooms, discreet staff, the kind of place where celebrities went to quietly fall apart. It cost more than most people's annual salary for a month's stay. I didn't care. The money from Sheila's compensation would cover it. "I don't know how long I'll need," she said as we stood in the reception area. "The doctors say minimum 3 months, maybe longer." "Take as long as you need. You can't visit for the first month. They say it's important I focus on myself without external pressures." "I understand." She looked at me then, really looked at me. "Do you hate me?" "What? No, never." I went to him, that last night. I walked out of the hospital and went to him voluntarily. You were programmed. I was weak. Part of me thought if I just gave him what he wanted, it would end, that he'd let us go. She laughed bitterly. "Stupid. Men like him never let go. You're not weak. You survived." "Surviving isn't living, Derek. That's what I need to learn how to do again. Live." Dr. Harrison, her assigned psychiatrist, appeared, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and steady hands. "We'll take good care of her," she assured me. I watched Sheila walk away, not looking back. It felt like losing her all over again. Malcolm and Rachel's wedding should have been beautiful. The registry office was small but elegant. Rachel wore her grandmother's dress. Malcolm had actually bought a proper suit. But we were all broken people pretending to be whole. The press had been barred, but they waited outside like sharks. We'd had to enter through the back, security checking everyone. Even the registrar had been vetted. Tony was Malcolm's best man. Robert was still in hospital recovering from his stabbing. I sat in the front row with Allison, both of us trying to smile for the photos. Behind us, 6 other couples who'd survived the council, all of us bound by shared trauma. "Do you take this woman?" The registrar began. I thought about my own wedding, how happy we'd been, how her father had sneered through the ceremony, already planning to sell his daughter, how Samantha had smiled knowing what she'd created. "I do," Malcolm said, and I was back in the present. Rachel was pregnant, 3 months along. They'd told me privately, worried about announcing joy in the midst of so much pain. But we needed this, needed proof that life continued, that there could be happiness after horror. "I do," Rachel said. They kissed. We clapped. For a moment, just a moment, we were normal people at a normal wedding. Then the door burst open. A man with a camera shouting, "Is it true Rachel defended council members?" Security tackled him, but the moment was shattered. Rachel was crying. Malcolm looked ready to kill. The wedding that should have been perfect was just another thing the council had tainted. Later, at the small reception in Malcolm's flat, Rachel pulled me aside. "There's something you should know. About the trials." "What?" "Half the defendants are claiming diminished responsibility, saying Samantha manipulated them, that they were victims too." "Bullshit." "I know, but juries might buy it, especially with Samantha dead, unable to defend herself or confirm their involvement." "They're going to walk?" "Some might. The evidence from the Kent house helps, but without Samantha's testimony." I thought about Iverson, already working his deal, about the council members who'd fled the country before arrests could be made, about justice delayed and denied. "Then we make sure they don't walk," I said. "Derek, you can't—" "I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about the truth. Every document, every photo, every video, we release it all. That's evidence. It has to go through proper channels. Fuck proper channels. Proper channels let this happen for 20 years. Allison tried to kill herself on a Tuesday. Pills. The same kind her mother had used to drug victims. There was a poetry to it, she'd written in her note, using the weapons of the enemy against herself. Marcus found her. He'd been checking on her daily since the shooting, worried about her isolation. Kicked down the door when she didn't answer. Got her to hospital just in time. I sat by her bed, watching machines breathe for her, and wondered how many more casualties the council would claim. "I killed her," Allison said when she woke. "I killed my own mother. You saved Sheila. I murdered the woman who gave birth to me." Tears ran down her face. "And the worst part? I'd do it again. What kind of person does that make me?" A survivor. A killer. Allison. Did you know she used to sing to me? When I was little, every night she'd sing lullabies. Same woman who was selling children to rapists would tuck me in and sing. She looked at me with haunted eyes. How do I reconcile that? How do I process that the mother who loved me and the monster who destroyed lives were the same person? I didn't have an answer. How do you reconcile irreconcilable things? Sheila's getting help, I said instead. Professional help. Maybe you should too. Will it bring Mum back? The mum I thought I had? The one who didn't exist? No, but it might help you live with the one who did. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, I have more files. Things I didn't give the police. What kind of files? Insurance. Mum kept insurance on everyone, including the police, including the prosecutors, including judges who might oversee the trials. Jesus. I thought about burning them, like we did the house. But then I thought, what if we need them? What if the trials go wrong? Where are they? Safe, hidden, but Derek, if I give them to you, you have to promise something. What? When this is over, when everyone involved is punished, you destroy them. Don't become her. Don't use information to control people. I thought about the power those files represented, the ability to ensure convictions, to destroy enemies, to protect ourselves. I promise, I said, and meant it. Power corrupts. Samantha had proven that. We were fighting monsters, but we couldn't become them in the process. Even if some days, becoming a monster seemed like the only way to win. The Old Bailey had never seen anything like it. 47 defendants, 3 courtrooms running simultaneously, over 200 victims waiting to testify. The media called it the trial of the century. We called it hell. I sat in the gallery of courtroom 1 watching Sheila take the witness stand. 3 months of treatment had helped she could speak without shaking now, could make eye contact without flinching. But she was different. Harder. Like something soft in her had been replaced with steel. State your name for the record, the prosecutor began. Sheila Derrick, formerly Fitzgerald. Mrs. Derrick, I know this is difficult, but we need you to describe what happened between October and December of last year. Sheila's hands folded in her lap, perfectly still. I was systematically drugged, raped, and psychologically tortured by multiple members of what they called the council. Gasps from the public gallery. The judge called for order. Can you identify any of your attackers in this courtroom? She looked at the defendant's box. 11 men in expensive suits trying to look respectable. Their lawyers had cleaned them up, but I knew what they were underneath. Lord Harrison, she said, pointing to a man in his 60s. Judge Whitmore, Mr. Blackwood, Mr. Chen, Mr. Roberts. Each name like a bullet. They were all present during what they called breaking sessions. Can you describe these sessions? Objection. One of the defense lawyers stood. Prejudicial terminology. Overruled. The witness may use her own words. Sheila continued, voice flat, clinical. They would inject me with a paralytic compound that left me conscious but unable to move or speak. Then they would use me, take turns, while discussing business deals and stock prices. Like I was furniture. I wanted to jump the barrier, to wrap my hands around their throats. Malcolm, sitting beside me, put a restraining hand on my arm. How many times did this occur? I don't know. The drugs affected my perception of time, at least a dozen sessions. Maybe more. And your father's involvement? Here she paused. First crack in the armor. He sold me, to pay debts. He brought me to them knowing what would happen. Where is your father now? Dead. Shot by my mother, we learned later when he tried to withdraw from the council. The prosecutor nodded, shuffled papers. And your mother? Also dead. Killed by my sister in self-defense when she tried to murder me. The courtroom was silent. This was the kind of family tragedy that Greek playwrights would have considered too dark. The defense's cross-examination was brutal. Mrs. Derrick, Harrison's lawyer began, a shark in pinstripes named Pemberton, you admit to drug use during this period? I was forcibly drugged. But drugs were in your system. Drugs that, according to medical reports, can cause hallucinations, false memories, paranoid delusions. Objection, our prosecutor said. The witness was not a willing participant. I'm establishing the reliability of memory, Your Honor. Proceed carefully, Mr. Pemberton. Mrs. Derek, is it possible that your recollection of events has been affected by these substances? No. How can you be certain? Because I have the scars to prove it. She stood suddenly, lifted her blouse to show her ribs. Cigarette burns in a pattern, someone's initials. Your client, Lord Harrison, liked to mark his favorites. Would you like to compare handwriting? The judge intervened. Mrs. Derek, please sit down. But the damage was done. The jury had seen. They'd remember. Pemberton tried another angle. You've been receiving psychiatric treatment? Yes. For what conditions? PTSD, depression, anxiety, dissociative episodes. Dissociative episodes, where you lose touch with reality, where my mind protects itself from trauma by disconnecting. So you admit to periods where you're not fully aware of reality? Sheila looked him dead in the eye. I'm fully aware that your client raped me while discussing his daughter's wedding plans. I'm fully aware that he laughed when I cried. I'm fully aware that he's sitting there now, hoping his money and connections will save him from consequences. Is that real enough for you? My testimony came on day 12. Mr. Derek, the prosecutor began, you discovered your wife's situation how? Hidden recordings she'd made, and evidence found during the raid on Iverson's house. The raid where you nearly beat Mr. Iverson to death? The raid where I stopped him from raping my wife. You took the law into your own hands. The law had failed. For 20 years, the council operated openly among the elite. Police were bought. Judges were members. What exactly was I supposed to do? The defense lawyers objected, but the judge allowed it. She was one of the clean ones, brought in specially for this trial. No connections to anyone involved. Mr. Derek, Pemberton stood for cross-examination, you have a history of violence, don't you? I have a history of defending myself. Criminal records show multiple arrests in your youth, assault, grievous bodily harm, all dismissed or self-defense. But you are comfortable with violence. I'm comfortable with protecting people I love. Even if it means killing? I looked at the defendants, men who'd destroyed hundreds of lives, who'd traded women like cattle, who'd murdered anyone who threatened their sick empire. Yes, murmurs through the courtroom. So you admit you would kill. I admit I would do whatever necessary to stop predators from hurting innocent people. The same thing any decent person would do. Not everyone resorts to violence, Mr. Derek. Not everyone's wife gets sold into sexual slavery by her own parents. That shut him up. The verdicts came after 6 weeks of testimony. Lord Harrison, guilty, life imprisonment. Judge Whitmore, guilty, life imprisonment. Mr. Blackwood, guilty, 30 years. The list went on. 11 life sentences. 15 sentences of 20+ years. The rest got lesser sentences for cooperation. No death penalties. Britain didn't do that anymore, but life without parole was close enough. Iverson got his deal. 15 years, possibility of parole in 10. It burned, but his testimony had been crucial. Without it, half of them would have walked. Outside the courthouse, the crowds cheered. Justice, they thought, had been served, but I saw the ones who'd gotten away. The council members who'd fled to non-extradition countries, the ones whose lawyers had gotten them acquittals on technicalities. The ones we couldn't prove were involved, despite knowing they were. It's not enough, Sheila said beside me. No, but it's a start. That evening, an unexpected visitor came to our hotel. A young woman, mid-20s, blonde hair, nervous energy. Mr. Derek, I'm Anna Iverson, Iverson's sister, the one we'd saved from the warehouse. What do you want? To apologize and to help. I almost shut the door in her face, but something in her eyes stopped me. The same hollow look all survivors had. My brother destroyed my life long before he touched yours, she said quickly. I was his first victim when I was 15. He trained his techniques on me before selling them to the council. Sheila appeared behind me. The two women looked at each other, recognition passing between them. Shared suffering creating instant understanding. Come in, Sheila said. Anna had brought files, things she'd stolen from her brother over the years. Insurance against him, she said, but also evidence of others. There are more, she said, not just in England. The council was international. My brother was middle management for something much bigger. How much bigger? Global, thousands of women, dozens of countries. What you stopped here was one cell. There are hundreds more. The weight of it crushed down. We'd fought so hard, lost so much, and we'd barely scratched the surface. I want to help, Anna said. I have money inheritance from our parents that my brother can't touch. I want to use it to build something, a foundation, for survivors. Why? Because I need to do something good with the Iverson name. Because I can't live with the weight of what he did. Because maybe if I help enough people, I can sleep without nightmares. I understood that. The need to build something from ashes. We're not ready for that yet, I said. We're barely surviving ourselves. Then survive first. But when you're ready, I'll be here. She left her contact information in the files. More names, more evidence, more battles to fight. After she left, Sheila and I sat in silence. The victory of the trial felt hollow now, knowing how much darkness remained. We can't fight them all, I said. No, but we can fight some. It could take the rest of our lives. She took my hand, first time in weeks. Then at least our lives will mean something. Outside, London celebrated justice served. Inside, we planned for the war ahead. 1 year. The farm sat on 40 acres of Yorkshire countryside, far enough from London to breathe, close enough to remember why we'd run. The main house needed work, roof leaked, windows rattled, heating was more suggestion than reality, but it was ours. Bought with Sheila's compensation money and what I'd saved over the years. We'd named it Phoenix Farm. Too on the nose, maybe, but survivors understand the need for obvious metaphors. Rising from ashes isn't subtle. 20 women lived here now. Different ages, different backgrounds, all carrying the same wounds. They came through Rachel's legal network or Anna's foundation, sometimes just showed up at the gate having heard through whatever Underground Railroad survivors create. Sheila taught art therapy in the converted barn. Watching her help others helped her. Every trembling hand she steadied, every frightened woman she comforted, rebuilt something in her that Iverson had destroyed. Not healing exactly, some wounds don't heal, but learning to function with the damage. Derek. Margaret, one of our first residents, found me fixing the chicken coop. There's a man at the gate, says he knows you. I grabbed the shotgun we kept for foxes. Visitors we didn't expect were never good news. But it was Malcolm, dust-covered from the drive, holding a baby carrier. Hope, he said, lifting his daughter out. 6 months old, Rachel's eyes, Malcolm's stubborn chin. Wanted her to see the place. I hadn't seen him in 3 months. After the trial, we'd all scattered. Too much shared trauma to stay close without drowning in it. She's beautiful. Gets that from her mother. He looked around the farm. This is good, what you're doing here. It's something. We walked the property, Hope babbling in Malcolm's arms, the vegetable gardens the women tended, the art studio Sheila had built, the small apartment units we'd converted from old stables. Each woman had her own space, her own lock, her own control, things that mattered after having none. Any trouble? Malcolm asked. Some journalists' first few months. Local kids sometimes, thinking we're some kind of cult. Nothing serious. And Sheila? I watched her through the barn window, teaching a new arrival how to hold a paintbrush. The woman's hands shook. She'd arrived yesterday, fresh from her own nightmare. Better. Not good, but better. The nightmares are down to 3-4 times a week. She can be touched without flinching if she sees it coming. She smiles sometimes and means it. That's progress. Yeah. We stood in comfortable silence. Then Malcolm said, Rachel's pregnant again. That's wonderful. She wants to name him Derek, if it's a boy. I couldn't speak for a moment. Malcolm, you saved her life. Mine too, probably. We wouldn't have any of this without you. I didn't save anyone, just fought back. Same thing sometimes. That night, Sheila found me on the porch. She moved differently now, always aware of exits, always positioning herself to see threats coming. But she sat beside me, close enough our shoulders touched. Good day, I asked. Sarah made it through a whole painting without breaking down. First time. Sarah, not the investigator. Different Sarah had been kept for 3 years. Her hands had been broken repeatedly when she'd tried to fight back. The doctor said she'd never have full use again, but she was determined to paint. That's good. Derek, I need to tell you something. My chest tightened. These conversations never went well. I'm pregnant. The world stopped. We hadn't been intimate since everything. A few kisses, holding hands, sleeping in the same bed when nightmares allowed. But nothing more. She couldn't bear it, and I wouldn't push. How? She almost smiled. Remember 2 months ago? My birthday? We had wine and... I remembered. One night where we'd felt almost normal, where the walls had come down just enough. Are you? How do you feel about it? Terrified. She pulled her knees up, making herself small. What if I'm like her? What if I can't love it properly? What if the damage goes too deep? You're nothing like your mother. I have her genes, her blood. You have her biology, not her choices. I took her hand carefully, telegraphing the movement. You teach traumatized women to paint. You wake up screaming and still make breakfast for everyone. You're the strongest person I know. I don't feel strong. Strong people rarely do. She leaned against me, first time in months. What if the council comes for our child? What if there are others out there who... A window shattered. I pushed Sheila down, covering her. Another window exploded. Then another. Inside! I shouted to anyone listening. Everyone inside! We had protocols for this, drilled monthly. The women knew where to go, how to barricade, military precision born from necessity. I grabbed the shotgun, peeked through the broken window. 3 figures in the darkness moving toward the house. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Derek. Young voice, posh accent, cold as winter. My name is Marcus Whitmore. You destroyed my father. Lord Harrison's son. I remembered him from the trial early 20s, sitting in the gallery, hate radiating off him like heat. Your father destroyed himself. He's dying in prison, beaten by inmates who know what he did, because of you. Because of his choices. I'm going to burn your farm down. Everyone inside. Then I'm going to take your pregnant wife, yes, we know, and sell her to the worst people I can find. The ones even the council wouldn't use. Try it. He laughed. Already am. Fire erupted from the barn. They'd set it ablaze while we focused on the windows. The art studio, Sheila's sanctuary, burning. No. Sheila started for the door. I caught her. It's a trap. They want us outside. But some women were in there. The evening class. 6 of them. Call the fire brigade, I told Sheila. Lock the doors. Don't come out. I went out the back, circling through darkness. The shotgun held 2 shells. Not enough for 3 men, but better than nothing. I found the first one by the burning barn, watching the flames. Young, maybe 19. I hit him with the butt of the gun, dropped him cold. Took his pistol. The second was harder. Professional, alert. We fought in the orange light of the fire, trading blows until I got lucky. He slipped on wet grass. The pistol cracked against his skull. Marcus was in the barn, dragging someone out. Not to save them, to take them. Sarah, semi-conscious from smoke, being pulled by her broken hands. Let her go. He turned, his own gun rising. We faced each other across 20 feet of burning ground. You took everything from me, he said. Your father was a rapist and a trafficker. He was my father. And Sheila was someone's daughter. Sarah was someone's sister. Every woman he hurt belonged to someone who loved them. They were whores who, I shot him, shoulder spinning him down. Not fatal, though part of me wanted it to be. The fire brigade arrived as I carried Sarah clear. Police soon after. Marcus Whitmore was arrested, his 2 accomplices with him. The barn was destroyed, but everyone survived. Smoke inhalation, minor burns, trauma renewed, but alive. Dawn found us standing in the ruins of the art studio. Months of work, of healing through creation, reduced to ash and twisted metal. We'll rebuild, Sheila said quietly. They'll just burn it again, others like them. Then we rebuild again. She touched her still flat stomach. That's what we do. They burn, we rebuild. They destroy, we create. That's how we win. What if we don't? Then at least we tried. That's more than most do. I looked at the women around us, survivors all, staring at the destruction of something they'd loved, but not broken, not running. Margaret started clearing debris, then Sarah, despite her damaged hands, then others. By noon, we'd cleared enough to see the foundation was intact. We could rebuild. We would rebuild. And maybe that was enough. The contractions started at 3 in the morning, 2 weeks early. Sheila gripped my hand hard enough to crack bones, breathing through the pain with the same determination she'd used to survive everything else. "Hospital," I said. "No." Her voice was steel. "Here, with people I trust." Dr. Patel had agreed to attend the home birth. She'd been treating Sheila since the beginning, understood why hospitals triggered panic. The medical smell, the restraints during contractions, the vulnerability, too many parallels to what had been done to her. "If anything goes wrong," I started, "then we go. But not before." 12 hours. 12 hours of labor, of Sheila fighting her own body and memories. Every contraction brought flashbacks she'd told me later of being paralyzed, of losing control. But she fought through them like she'd fought through everything else. At 3:47 p.m., our daughter was born. Small, perfect, screaming fury at the world that had dared disturb her comfort. "Hope," Sheila whispered. "We'll call her Hope." Like Malcolm's daughter? Like what she represents. I held this tiny life, product of so much darkness yet somehow pure light, and understood that everything we'd suffered had led to this moment. Not worth it. Nothing could make that nightmare worth it but meaningful despite the horror. 5 years passed like heartbeats. The farm grew. 40 acres became 80. 20 residents became 50. We built proper facilities, therapy rooms, medical clinic, secured housing. Anna Iverson's foundation provided funding, government grants covered operations, and donations from survivors who'd rebuilt their lives kept us expanding. Hope grew strong and wild, raised by a village of wounded healers. She knew nothing of the darkness that created her world, only that Mummy helped sad ladies feel better and Daddy kept everyone safe. Sometimes that's all a child needs to know. This morning I was teaching self-defense in the new gym when Allison arrived. She visited monthly, checking on Sheila, checking on me, checking on herself. The therapy had helped her, though she still carried the weight of matricide like a stone in her chest. "There's news," she said quietly, not wanting to disturb the class. "About Iverson." We stepped outside. September morning, crisp and clean, the kind that made you forget winter was coming. "He's dead. Cancer. Died in the prison hospital last night." I waited to feel something. Relief? Joy? Vindication? Nothing came. He was just gone, like smoke dissipating. All that evil reduced to nothing. "He left something," Allison continued. "A letter. For Sheila. Burn it. She needs to see it, to decide herself." Sheila was in the garden with Hope, teaching her to plant bulbs for spring. Our daughter's hands were covered in soil, her laugh bright as silver. Sheila looked up as we approached, read our faces, understood immediately. "He's dead," she said. Not a question. "Yes. He left you a letter." She took it, looked at Hope playing in the dirt, then opened it. I read over her shoulder. "Sheila, by the time you read this, I'll be dead. The cancer is eating me from inside poetic justice, you'd probably say. I'm writing not to apologize. We both know that would be meaningless, but to warn you. The council isn't dead. It's evolved. Changed names, changed faces, but the structure remains. They're watching you, Derek, your daughter. Not to strike, you've become too visible, too protected, but watching nonetheless. I was middle management, as you discovered. The real power lies in 12 families who've run this trade for centuries. They consider what happened in London a temporary setback, nothing more. Your mother was one of them. Did you know? The Fitzgerald line goes back 300 years in this business. It's in your blood, your daughter's blood. They'll come for her eventually, not to hurt her, but to recruit her, to bring her home to the family business. Watch for blue roses. They leave them as calling cards for those they consider theirs by birthright. I'm not sorry for what I did to you, but I am sorry for what's coming." Iverson Sheila's hands shook slightly, then steadied. She folded the letter carefully, walked to the burn barrel we used for garden waste, and dropped it in. Struck a match. "Mommy, what are you burning?" Hope asked, wandering over. Old ghosts, sweetheart. Nothing important. But that evening, after Hope was asleep, Sheila found me in my workshop. We need better security. Cameras on the perimeter, motion sensors. Because of the letter? Because he was right about one thing. They're watching. They always have been. We can't live in fear. We don't. We live in preparation. There's a difference. The knock came at midnight. Soft, hesitant. I grabbed the cricket bat by the door, less lethal than a gun, but effective enough. A young woman stood on our porch, maybe 18, rail-thin, bruises healing on her face. Behind her, a car idled in the drive. Are you Derek? She asked. They said you help people like me. Who's they? Other girls, survivors. They said Phoenix Farm takes anyone. I looked at the car. Driver silhouetted inside, engine running. Could be dropping off. Could be a trap. Who's in the car? My brother. He helped me escape. He's scared you'll think he's one of them. Tell him to turn off the engine and step out. Hands visible. The young man who emerged looked barely older than his sister. Same hollow eyes all family members of victims carried. She was gone for 6 months, he said. Sold by our stepfather. I've been looking. I found her in Manchester, in a house with 12 other girls. Did you call the police? They were the police. Some of them. The same story, over and over. The system failing those it should protect. Come in, I said. Both of you. We had protocols for new arrivals. Medical check, psychological evaluation, safe room assignment, but first, always first, a cup of tea and a promise. You're safe here. The girl Lucy sat in our kitchen, hands wrapped around the mug like it anchored her to reality. Her brother Tom stood guard, ready to fight or flee. How many others were in the house? I asked. 11 when I left, but they bring new ones every week. Address? She gave it. I'd pass it to Davies, to Rachel, to the network of those still fighting. Another raid, another rescue, another drop in an ocean of suffering. Can I stay? Lucy asked. Just until I figure out what comes next? As long as you need. Sheila appeared in the doorway, wrapper pulled tight, hair messy from sleep. She took in the scene new arrival, frightened brother, me making tea at midnight, and simply said, I'll prepare room 7. It has the best morning light. This was our life now. Our calling, perhaps. We couldn't save everyone, couldn't destroy the entire network, couldn't undo what had been done. But we could do this. One woman at a time. One rescue at a time. One small act of defiance against an ocean of darkness. Morning came soft and golden. I found Sheila in the rose garden, not blue roses, never those, but white ones for new beginnings, red for courage, yellow for friendship. She was teaching Hope to remove the dead heads, preparing for new growth. That's 43 now, she said. 43 women we've helped. 44, counting Lucy. A drop in the ocean. 44 drops, I corrected. That's not nothing. Hope ran to me, arms full of roses, dirt smudged on her perfect face. Daddy, look, Mummy says if we take care of them, they'll bloom forever. Mummy's right. I looked at my wife, my daughter, our garden full of roses and survivors and second chances. Behind us, the farm stirred to life. Women emerging from their rooms, facing another day of rebuilding themselves. Kitchen sounds as breakfast was prepared communally, everyone contributing what they could. Voices in the therapy room as morning group began. We'd lost so much. Innocence, trust, the families we'd thought we had. The scars would never fully fade. The nightmares would never completely stop. Some days, the weight of it all threatened to crush us. But here, in this moment, with Hope's laughter and Sheila's quiet strength and roses blooming despite the approaching winter, we had something the council could never understand or destroy. We had each other. We had purpose. We had the stubborn refusal to let evil win. Daddy? Hope tugged my hand. Why do some roses have thorns? I knelt beside her, this miracle child born from nightmare. To protect themselves, sweetheart, and to remind us that beautiful things can still defend themselves. She considered this with 5-year-old gravity. Like Mummy? Sheila laughed, real, genuine, untainted by shadows. Exactly like Mummy. We walk back to the house together, hope between us, small hands in ours. Behind us, the roses continued to bloom, thorns and all. Ahead, another day of small victories against large darkness. It wasn't the life we'd planned, but it was the life we'd built from the ashes of what was burned. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. The end. Epilogue. 10 years later, Phoenix Farm operates 12 facilities across the UK. Over 3,000 women have passed through its doors. Hope Derrick grows up to become a human rights lawyer, dedicating her life to fighting the systems that nearly destroyed her parents. The council still exists, evolved and hidden, but weakened. Every woman saved, every trafficker prosecuted, every survivor who refuses to be silenced chips away at their power. Derrick and Sheila Derrick remain at the original farm, aging together among their roses, proof that sometimes love doesn't conquer all, but it can survive it. And sometimes, survival is the greatest victory of all.